13.
O'clock.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? It's Wednesday.
Yep, main
time
show.
for the main show.
Yeah,
All
main
right.
show.
This is going to be a good one, actually. I don't think that I would have necessarily thought to do this topic on my own, but we have a listener named Celtic Angel 73 who gave us this topic idea and actually even gave me some ideas for like the people to cover on here. I'm doing, you know how I do. I initially had, because I was trying to like pick out different ones, because like the topic is like people who survived horrific events, right? And I had, of course, like 5 or 6 of them. And then like earlier today, like on my lunch hour, I was going through my notes and I was like, okay, I'm taking some of these out because it's like, this is going to take forever. So I'm just going to go down to 3 that I thought were like the coolest. 2 of them were ones that Celtic Angel recommended. And actually, I'm really interested that... Stop. What are you doing?
I turned it off.
Okay. I can't do that. You just
It was an accident.
You distracted.
It was an accident.
Yeah, and then I forgot what I was saying.
No,
but
it's because Celtic Angel, the two.
Yeah. 2 of them were one that, and neither of them were cases that I had heard of before. And it's really weird because both of them are like pretty fucking horrific, especially the first one I want to talk about, which is apparently like a really, really famous case from like the early 1960s, but I had never heard about it, and it's fucking crazy. So I'm actually really glad that Celtic Angel 73 like recommended these, because like I said, I don't know if I would have necessarily found these cases on my own, but yeah. So it should be fun. Like I said, these were like 3 really cool cases of surviving shit that probably shouldn't have survived.
Yeah, I don't know which ones they are.
Yeah.
I don't know which ones she chose.
I mean, like I said, there was like
out.
some that I was thinking about. I said, oh, well, maybe we could do one about Aaron Ralston, like that guy that was hiking and like got his arm caught under a rock and had to cut his hand off. But then I was like, yeah, but they made a movie about that and everybody kind of knows about that one.
Did you get the stewardess that fell out of the airplane and lived?
I was gonna do that one, but
Yeah.
I didn't. But because I have another one of a woman that fell out of a plane and lived, I didn't want to do both of them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I did have that originally.
Okay. So one of those is in here?
What do you mean?
You said you have one.
Yeah.
So one of them is in there. Okay.
Yeah, but not the stewardess.
Okay. It's a different one.
Yeah,
So
but it
that's
was like
still
a
falling
different
out of-
case.
That's still falling out of
a fucking airplane.
And living.
And here's the thing. I don't want to, this isn't like a competition, like between like who survived more fucked up shit. But I thought because the stewardess, well, you know, the air hose, whatever they call them nowadays.
It's a stewardess.
She was like, God damn it. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, well.
Never mind. I'm sure.
You were saying how bad it was. But then the stewardess one, I don't know what you were going to make some kind of comparison between the stewardess
well, okay, so the one that she fell out of a plane and shit like that and survived, but this other woman that fell out of a plane and survived, she also was stranded in the Peruvian jungle for 11 days until someone found her.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
So, so I was like, I think that edges that out a little bit.
I know that one. Yeah. I think I know that one.
Like I said, it's not a competition. Like, like who had more fucked up shit happen to them? Because this is like pretty fucked up shit. And it's like, I watched like some documentaries about some of these, and like they're really. It's horrifying, like, to listen to, but they're actually really inspiring, too, because just, like, holy crap, I can't imagine, like, what these people were going through, like, the whole time that this shit was going on. I'm just like, Jesus
They were just
Christ.
trying to survive it.
I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like, god damn.
A lot of times when you're going through bad shit, you don't have time to think about it. Like
Well-
motorcycle wrecks and shit, and fucking nearly freezing to death, and near-death experiences. It happens so fast, you're so focused in on what the hell's going on right there at that particular moment, you're not even afraid.
Well, I kind of
'Cause
feel
you're
like
dealing with shit.
these people in particular, these particular 3 cases that I'm going to talk about, they had plenty of time,
to think about
to think about the shit, which is, I think, what made it like seem a lot more horrible to me. You know what I mean? Like maybe they didn't remember, because I kind of feel like the woman that fell out of the plane, like that she didn't really remember the exact thing that happened, but you know what I mean? But it's still like enduring shit that happened like afterward. Yeah, Celtic Angel 73 said, "Hello, I'm excited that you guys used my suggestion. It was a really, really good suggestion." And especially the first one that I'm going to talk about, because this was a fucking amazing case, and I can't believe I never heard about it. Because it's not only somebody that survived, like, a horrific thing, but it was also kind of like a true crime, and it's like murder and shit like that. Because they thought it was one thing, but now it's like, it turned out it was something else, and it's just like a fucking crazy story. It's a crazy fucking story. But yeah, so, I don't know, like, if you have anything that you would like to go into.
I'm ready.
You're ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, we spent the last night and today spent cleaning the house, you know.
Yep, and roof is in. They did the roof this morning.
Yeah, and they finished the roof today,
they got it done in only a few hours. They got the second. They did the top. They finished that. All they had to do is just do the little things that run around the outside of the house, and that didn't take them very long. 4 hours maybe.
Yeah, because when I got home from work, they had left already.
Yeah.
They were still here when I got here home yesterday.
So it's done. Got it done.
Hooray!
They bent one of the gutters though. They're gonna come back and fix it.
Well, they better.
Yeah. Throwing shit off the side or something fell off the side and bent one of the gutters.
God damn. Let's see. Victor says, "Hey, I made it. I set an alarm." Then Trey said, YouTube is acting weird tonight. I hope not. Yeah. Let's see. Off topic, have you thought about covering the 1957 classic 12 Angry Men? Excellent movie. Ooh, that is an excellent movie. And I actually haven't seen that in a really long time. Yeah, maybe we'll get around to it. Victor said, my solar panels went live today. Solar panels?
Yeah, solar panels. Solar panels.
If you've seen Birdemic, you know what we're talking about. Camp Guy said, snake handler at Atlanta Zoo got bitten by a black mamba. Luckily, the largest hospital in the state is about 10 minutes away, and they had anti-venom. That's good. Jesus Christ. Let's hope they keep that shit on site. Yeah. You know, it's weird. I keep, because on my way to work, I go through DeLand, and there's a serpentarium, and I can't believe it's still there. Like, I used to go there all the time, like, when I lived in Daytona. And it's not big, but it's like they have all different kind of snakes, and they have a guy, like, a snake handler, essentially. Not like, you know, the religious kind. But he just comes out and talks about all the snakes, and he's been bit, like, a whole bunch of times, too. Like, his hands were just, like, scar tissue, like, all over. Let's see.
Some guys have been bitten so many times, these little bitty drops, that they're kind of immune to it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this guy, I mean, he'd been bitten by, like, pretty much every venomous snake. Uh-huh.
I think one guy claimed his hands just looked like fucking gnarled up fucking roots, all right? From all those little nicks and snake bites that he had handling those things. And a bunch of different ones. One time he got a full-on bite from, I think it was a diamondback rattlesnake, and he shook it off like it didn't happen. So he was kind of immune to it.
Yeah, he's telling that snake, he's like, you're a pussy.
Yeah, that's what he claimed. I don't know, you know.
Right.
That was on TV a long time ago. That was back before you could check. So
yeah, because he could have been, like...
Might have been bullshit.
Spinning a yarn.
Yeah.
Saying all kind of, like, crazy shit.
Yeah.
Gramther says, Gramther had a few close calls over the years. It still makes me laugh that you refer to yourself in the third person. Bullets were flying, blood and teeth were on the ground, but sweet Jesus, let me live to see another morning. That's the thing. Some people just get lucky. Or unlucky, as the case may be. Like I said, I'm not really sure. These three cases, I'm not really sure if I'd call it lucky or unlucky, but, you know. They seem to have, like, you know... made peace with what happened, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so you want to get into it, or
let's go ahead.
All right, because Victor said my cousin got bit in her hand by a rattlesnake when she was 7. Holy shit. Yeah, there's a lot of rattlesnakes around here, and those little, what are those little pygmy rattlers? Yeah, my brother caught one of those in a bucket one time when I was a kid. It didn't bite him though. All right, so the first case that we want to talk about, this shit is crazy, and I can't believe I never heard about it. So this happened in 1961, and this is the case of Terry Jo, I think it's Duperrault or Duperrault, I'm not really sure. She's from Wisconsin, so I'm not sure if you pronounce her name like the Frenchy way or just like the Americanized way. So what ended up happening with this, and as I said, it was super, super famous at the time. I mean, obviously I wasn't born in 1961, but apparently this was a big deal. And I some documentaries that I watched about it, like some people that were alive at the time were like, oh my God, I remember like this big deal. It was on the cover of Life magazine and everything. And the picture that was on the cover of Life magazine was of this little girl sitting in a little bitty kind of like a lifeboat, but I kind of feel like I've seen different documentaries that said it wasn't actually exactly a lifeboat. It's kind of a lifeboat, but it was kind of more like a float, like it was made of cork. It was kind of shaped like an oval like that, and then it had like kind of netting at the bottom. So she was just like sitting in that in the middle of the fucking ocean. And apparently like these guys on this freighter ship had like found her like against all odds, which we'll get into, and had taken a picture of her because they're like, holy fucking shit, like there's this little girl like out in the middle of the fucking ocean. And they
she's been sunburned as hell.
She was, yeah.
Yeah.
She was, and she was really dehydrated, and she was starting to hallucinate and all this other kind of stuff.
How old was she again?
11.
All right.
She was 11 years old. And so at first they thought, as you would, that this little girl, you know, oh, maybe she'd been on a ship with her family or whatever, and the ship sank, and she was like the only one that survived. And technically, I guess that's true, but not exactly, because all kind of fucking crazy ass shit went on before. And this is a horrible, horrible story. So what ends up happening? So they, you know, saved the little girl, and it's like for a long time she wouldn't talk. She was kind of like freaked out, but finally they got like the story out of her. Sorry, my phone's ringing and it's like really distracting. It's like, just shut up. I thought it was off.
Grab it. What is it?
Non-profit, it says.
And it stopped ringing.
Well, you got to plug it back in because otherwise it's not going to charge. So she wouldn't talk at first because she was like really scared and freaked out and everything like that. But when they finally got the story out of her, this is what happened. So as I said, this happened in 1961. Now, there was an optometrist named Dr. Arthur Duperrault, and he was from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And this was Terry Jo's dad. He also had a wife named Jean and two other kids, Brian, who was 14, and Renee, who was 7. And as I mentioned, Terry Jo was 11 years old. Now, his big dream was he wanted to get like a ship or like a yacht, and because he was real into that, and he wanted to take his family on a sailing trip like around the world, like for a year. So he's like, well, let's do kind of like a trial run for that, because it's like, I want to see if you guys, you know, actually would enjoy that or, you know, whatever. So they decide to take a 7-day trip in the Bahamas. So they charter a yacht called the Bluebell, and they sailed out of Fort Lauderdale. So like I said, it was the dad and the mom and the 3 kids. And they also brought along, like for help, Dr. Duperrault's friend, who was a former Marine and a World War II veteran. His name was Julian Harvey, and he was like a skipper, captain type of thing. So he came along, and he also brought his new wife with him, whose name was Mary, and they'd been married for only about 3 or 4 months at this point. So basically, for the first 4 or 5 days of the trip, everything seemed totally fine, you know? Families are getting along. They're having a good time. The family is having a really good time. They're like, oh my God, I can't wait to, you know, to do this again, or to like go on this trip around the world or whatever that they were planning. But then on about the 5th night of the cruise, Terry Jo, the 11-year-old, said that she was asleep in the cabin, and she got woken up by a bunch of screaming and kind of like stamping around, or like, you know, somebody, you know, stamping around on the deck. So she basically goes upstairs to see what's going on, and said that she saw her mother and her brother lying on the floor dead, and there was just blood everywhere. And she's like, what the fuck is going on, pretty much. And then she sees Julian Harvey, the skipper, captain, Marine guy, like walking toward her. And she's like, what happened? You know, as you would. And apparently he was carrying like a rifle or something like that. And he just came to her and kind of like shoved her back down in the cabin, like, and just said, you know, just go back down there. So she goes back to her room, and she's like freaking out. She has no fucking idea like what the hell's going on. She's like, she'd seen her mother and her brother. There was blood everywhere. She's like, they looked like they were dead. She doesn't know where her dad is. She doesn't know where her little sister is. The little sister would normally be sleeping in the cabin with her, but she'd actually like stayed up, on the upper deck with the adults. So she didn't know where she was either. So she's down there kind of like frozen in fear, terrified. And then water starts coming into the cabin and like filling it up, like up to the level of like the mattress or something like that. So obviously she kind of like wigs out again, and she runs back up to the upper deck and sees Julian Harvey up there and is like, "Is the boat sinking?" she said. And he goes, "Yes." Right? He tells her that it's sinking. And then he's like, "Okay, well, we need to get in the dinghy, like the lifeboat or whatever." And so he gives her the rope, like to hold on to it, I guess, like we're both going to get into it or something. That was kind of like what he told her. And she was kind of freaking out, and she dropped the rope, and the dinghy kind of started like floating away. So Julian jumps off the sinking boat and like swims out after the dinghy, leaving the 11-year-old girl just kind of like standing there. So, I mean, fair play to her. She's 11 years old. The boat is sinking. The skipper, the only person that she's seen alive, just jumped off the fucking boat and like swam toward the dinghy like he's gonna leave her there. But she actually had the presence of mind to think, "Oh, I think there was another lifeboat or another float or something like that." Like she knew where it was. So she went to get it. And like I said, it was, it's hard to tell from the pictures, but it's really, really small. It's only about like the length of maybe like 5 or 6 feet. And it was just kind of like a long, it looked like it was made of like of white cork, like around the outside. And then there was like netting on the inside. So she found that, and she managed to get into it. Yeah, it's basically like the dinghy was, the guy took that.
Okay, he took the dinghy.
He swam after it. She was like, "I have to get the life raft," essentially. Right. So she got on that, and she managed to get in there. And she doesn't have any idea where the rest of her family are. She doesn't know what the fuck is going on. So she goes out in the thing, the ship sinks, and she is out on the open ocean for 84 hours. 84 hours. No water, no food, nothing. That's like almost 4 days.
5 days. Yeah, 4 days, yeah. Yeah.
That's almost 4 days.
4 days, yeah.
Out in the middle of the fucking ocean. 11 years old. No food, no water, nothing.
So what happened to all the other people that were supposed to be there?
Well, now we're going to find that out. Now we're going to find that out.
Okay.
Because that's the crazy part.
Yeah, a murder went down, and he was trying to kill everybody and escape the boat is what he was trying to do.
That's the crazy part.
All right. I see what happened.
Yeah.
I suspected it.
Well, don't spoil it.
Okay. Right. Well, there's only one explanation.
Yeah, so I'm just saying. Yeah. So yeah, she was out there for 84 hours. And she, later on, because she wrote a book, I think in 2010, called Alone. And so what was it called? Like Alone, like something about orphan, sea orphan or something like that. I can't remember like what the subtitle was. But yeah, she was basically like out there. The shitty thing too was that the boat, after she was out there for like 3 days or whatever, it was just made of like shitty cork or whatever, and it was starting to disintegrate. So had the freighter ship not happened to see her when they saw her, it's very likely that she probably would have drowned or gotten eaten by sharks or something like that.
She'd have died.
Because they said by the time they found her, she was pretty fucked up. Like she was completely sunburned and, really dehydrated and stuff. I mean, she completely recovered, but yeah, she was like pretty messed up. But they said they didn't know how much longer she could.
She didn't have water or anything, did she?
No.
Yeah, she couldn't have lasted another day or two.
No, there's no way. So it was like, and it was really kind of like a miracle that they saw her, because they said the fucked up thing, and I think this might have been, I don't know if it was this specific case, but it was cases like this that made it kind of like where they had the lifeboats and stuff like that, like be a bright color, like orange or something, because they said the thing about this one was it was white, and she was blonde, and she had like a white blouse and like little pink pants, and so like from a ship or a plane or something like that, you just look like a little white cap, like down in the water. They can't really see you.
Yeah.
And she said too, like after they rescued her, that she'd been in the boat. It was like the second or third day, and there was like a little red, twin engine plane or whatever, and it was like flying around, like circling her, and she just kept screaming and like waving at it, and it couldn't see her, even though it wasn't that high up, because it was just like all white, and it just looks like little waves, like so it's kind of like I said, a miracle that they even saw her. So so she was rescued after 84 hours. Now, when they found out what happened, it turned out that Julian Harvey, the guy that had swam for the dinghy, he had been rescued, like, I think a day or two prior to them finding Terry Jo. His story was that the ship, like, he said something about, the masts had, like, collapsed or something, and the ship started to sink, and, like, everybody drowned. Everybody drowned and all this other kind of stuff. And he's like, I was the only one that survived, blah-de-blah.
Yeah, it sounds fishy.
And when they told him, they're like, oh, no, you're not the only one that survived. Terry Jo, like the little girl, she survived. And he reacted a little bit strangely. He reacted like, oh, my God. Like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could tell he was thinking like, oh, shit. Yeah. And then a day or two after he found out that Terry Jo had been found, they found his body in a hotel room. He had committed suicide. Mm-hmm. He had checked in under like a pseudonym and left a note, for a friend of his. And he committed suicide by taking a razor blade and slicing his throat, his ankle, and his wrists or something. I mean, he was like serious about it. So what they found out later on was that Julian Harvey had apparently decided to use this particular cruise in order to kill his new wife, Mary, who, like I said, they'd only been married for 3 or 4 months.
Damn, he got sick of her fast.
That's not what it was.
Insurance or some shit.
Yeah. She had what was then like a very, very large insurance policy, $20,000 on her life. Yeah. And I mean, that was in 1961. That was a lot of money. Yeah. And there was also a double indemnity clause, which means that if she died in an accident or murder, as long as it wasn't him that murdered her, right? That's a little detail there that maybe he should have looked into. Then he would get double the money. So what he was trying to do, and I neglected to mention that when they found him in the dinghy, he had his wife's drowned body in the boat with him. And people were like, well, why would he have that? I'm like, well, because like after he died and they looked into his past and everything, and they were like, oh, he apparently had kind of like a habit of doing this. Mary was his 6th wife. Now, not all of them had died, I don't think. But he did try to pull this kind of like insurance scam before. And I think there was one, I can't remember which wife it was, but he actually drove himself and the wife and I think one other person like off a fucking overpass, like into a river or something like that.
He was in the car?
But he did it on purpose, and like he knew like how to get out of the car and everything like that. So to collect like some money on some life insurance. So it wasn't the first time that he did that. They didn't find that out until later on though. So what they suspect happened was that he was going to use this trip to kill his wife and get the insurance money. And they suspect that probably Dr. Duperrault, Terry Jo's dad, probably saw him do it, at which point Julian Harvey was like, oh, well, I guess I have to kill everybody now, like, to get away with it. But then he thought, oh, if I can get on the dinghy and get back to civilization, then I can just say, oh, the ship sunk and everybody drowned, too bad, so sad. Hey, hand over the money. Here's my dead wife. I even brought her, and he brought her in the dinghy, I guess, for that particular...
Prove she was dead.
To prove that she was dead. Yeah, because the thing is, it's like, if she was just lost at sea, then it might take, like, a really long time to, like, to prove that she was actually dead, so he didn't want it. So it's like he dressed, it's, like, fucking horrible, man.
That she was stinking, too, by the time...
He did drown her, but it's like, I guess. But so the other people in the family were stabbed. I think he stabbed him, which is crazy because I think that Terry Jo said that he had a rifle, so I don't know why he wouldn't have shot them, but I guess he stabbed them. The weird thing about it, though, is that there's been a lot of speculation about why he didn't kill Terry Jo, because he very well could have. He did see her, like, because she came up out of the cabin and she was like, what's going on? And he just basically pushed her back down. It's like, hey, stay down there.
He didn't kill her because she was no threat to him. He figured she'd just drowned at sea.
Well, he killed the other little girl and the 14-year-old boy. He killed them.
Yeah, how did he do it? He stabbed him?
As far as they know, they've never found the bodies. But they did, but Terry Jo said that she did see a knife later on and that there was blood everywhere. Like, you know what I mean? They actually had to, like, because obviously she was very traumatized by this incident, because, like, not only is she out in the fucking middle of the ocean for 4 days.
Whole family wiped
with
out.
but her whole family got murdered.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine. Like, ugh. She's still alive. She's, you know, because I saw, like, an interview with her and stuff. And she really, like I said, it took her a long time to, like, want to talk about it, but, you know, she got married and she did had some kids and shit like that, and she seems to have come to, like, a good place in her life, and she has a thing where she's kind of like, well, you just have to, like, appreciate every single day. She seems very, very positive, like, to turn it into something positive, but she said it took her a really long time to get to that point.
Well, it happened when she was 10.
11, yeah.
Or 11, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, so they're wondering, like, why did he leave Terry Jo alive? I thought it was because a lot of people have said, oh, well, maybe he, like, deep down wanted to get caught. I don't think that's the case. I think that, because what happened was she said that she had the rope of the dinghy and dropped it, and then, like, the dinghy, like, went off like that. So I was thinking that he was, like, needed her help, like, to get the rope or whatever, and then when she dropped it, he was like, man, fuck her, she'll probably die anyway. I think he was going to take her on the dinghy and then push her off of there.
And kill her later.
And then kill her later.
Yeah.
So I think it just kind of happened that she dropped the rope, and he was just like, oh, fuck it, she's probably dead anyway because the boat's going to sink, and she's not going to survive out here.
Right.
So it's like when they rescued him, like, a few days before they found her, and he's just thinking, you know, he'd already told the cops his story. Oh, the boat, it just, you know, the mast collapsed and, you know, the boat sank and everybody died and it was so sad and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and those dudes know the sea like the back of their hand, and they're going, mast collapsing? What?
Well, that's what the guy
the
guy who owned the boat, because it was a chartered boat, was like, yeah, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they thought it was suspicious at first, but then when they found Terry Jo and she told them what it really happened, and the stories didn't match up, they were like, oh, okay, so I guess this motherfucker like murdered this whole entire family. Jesus Christ. And I guess he knew he was busted because I think it was only a day or two later that they found his cut up ass in the fucking...
And if he was going to kill her on the boat, that means that from the very beginning, he had already figured out in his mind that he was going to have to kill everybody on the boat.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I didn't know... Because he died, so that
any other way.
He died, so they didn't ask him. But it's like, I wondered if he was initially planning to just surreptitiously, like, push his wife overboard and then go, oh no, you know what I mean, and then not have to kill the whole entire family. And I kind of think that maybe he was in the process of doing that, and then he got seen, and then he was like, well, shit, now I have to kill the whole entire family. I don't know if he was necessarily gonna kill the whole entire family. He might have been. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he was just gonna kill the wife and then throw her overboard.
Then throw her overboard and then just say that it was an accident.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think he got spotted. Right. I don't think he went out. I mean, like I said, I don't know. And he died like right after, and he seems like a fucking crazy person, to be honest. But I don't think he intended to, like, kill the whole entire family. I think it was just because he got seen, and then he's like, well, fuck it. That's what I'm saying.
A lot of risk.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, like, if you were gonna do, like, maybe he wanted, like, other witnesses around or something like that, because it's like, look,
she's gone.
Yeah, if you're gonna bump off your wife for the insurance money, you'd think that it's like, why would you take, like, a bunch of other people with you that might see you?
Her. Maybe he was drowning her in a bucket or something, a bucket of water he had.
That's what I'm saying.
Somebody heard all that thrashing around. By the time that they got to him, she was unconscious or dead with a fucking head in a damn bucket. Then he had to kill that guy, and then he had to, whoever it was that saw him, and then he had to go through and kill everybody one by one. He probably killed them kids while they were in bed. that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's just fucked up, man. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's a crazy fucking story.
Oh yeah. That dude needs to be stomped into a greasy spot.
Well, he already took himself out of the
He's
out of the human race.
He's
Well,
awful.
yeah, that's what a lot of the comments said. Like
Yeah.
afterward, it's like he couldn't even. He did all that fucked up shit, and then
ended up dying anyway. Should have just killed himself on discovery. Saved all them people.
well, see, that's what I always
Done
say.
your
Like,
fucking time.
right? It's just kind of like all those people that it's all these mass shooters and all that other kind of shit. It's like, oh, I'm gonna take all these people. You know what? Just start with yourself, okay?
Yeah.
Just do the world a favor.
Yeah, kill yourself.
You know what I mean? It's like you don't need to take a bunch of innocent people with you. It's not going to solve anything. It's not going to help you.
He didn't get away with it.
It's
Kill those
Jesus
people that didn't
Christ.
even get away with it.
And now I'm wondering if that they hadn't happened to find Terry Jo, which, like I said, is kind of like miraculous that they even found her at all.
He still would have been suspect.
I think they probably would have still suspected him. I don't know if they would have been able to prove it
Probably
though.
not.
Because I think the reason that they thought he was sus like to start with because his story sounded kind of like I don't know, but there wasn't any proof, right? They never found the boat, they never found the bodies, they never found anything.
It's difficult to sink a boat. People think that boats sink. No, they're made in ways where they'll take on a bunch of water, especially these little boats that they're talking about. But a lot of times they're filled up with foam. They're semi-unsinkable, unless this was something from an earlier age. They just take on a lot of water and they'll be just kind of semi-buoyant. I mean, they might go down eventually, but like I guess they do eventually go down. But it takes a long time. Usually you have time to fucking get a hold of something. Things start floating up out of the boat.
As far as I know, they have never found this boat,
Yeah.
the Bluebell, and they've never found the bodies like the other
Okay.
bodies.
It's at the bottom.
Yeah, out in the
Yeah.
fucking Bahamas.
It took on enough water, yeah.
Because they left from Florida, like from Fort Lauderdale.
Some of that new shit they have it's near impossible to sink it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we got good shit nowadays. This
Yeah.
was like back in the 60s, though,
Right.
so I don't really know. But yeah, because like I said, even the lifeboat that she was on was like starting to disintegrate because it had
Yeah.
been out there for so long. Larry and Creature said, hey, what about the USS Indianapolis sinking? Yeah, and the sharks. I can't imagine
Yeah.
that experience of just drifting in the sea, hearing guys dragged under by sharks for days and nights.
Yeah.
I mean, that...
And the Navy knowing about it, not saying anything because they didn't want to
mean-
give a... Just let them get eaten.
I can't imagine. Like, those are my two
Yeah.
worst fears.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of like...
They couldn't put an SOS out. The Japanese
Ugh.
would have intercepted it probably, and they would have known something was up. They were transporting that atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said.
So
It was
they had
carrying
just
parts
be-
of what became the atomic
Yeah.
bomb.
So they had to let the sharks eat them for a while. They eventually rescued them, but I don't think the Navy rescued them, did they?
I can't remember. That's a fucked up story, too.
I think somebody else. I think a plane, a random Navy plane, saw them and reported them in the water. I don't think that was part of the plan. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah,
I think they
because that definitely seems like something you'd report if you saw it.
Yeah, I think originally the Navy was going to let them all just sit out there and get eaten.
It's like,
It was the sinking
hey,
of it.
then
was-
no one will know
yeah,
about
it was top secret. You know, what I mean, they made the sinking of that ship top secret. They didn't want the Japanese to know or anybody to know about it. But I think a plane went overhead, and you're like, "What? What the fuck is that?" You know, and then they landed and started helping people and calling for help. I think that's how it happened. It was a seaplane, if I remember correctly.
Larry and Creature said the Bluebell is a chain of pubs in England, where I'm from. Yeah, because that was the name of the boat. Bluebell is
It's ice
it's
cream
ice
here.
cream.
Yeah.
It's a brand of ice cream.
Fantastic Southern ice cream.
Well,
It's like
wait,
eating
is it
frozen.
Bluebell or Blue Bunny? There's
Bluebell.
two of them. There's
Bluebell.
two of them. There's one called Blue Bunny also.
Yeah, Bluebell's the best one. It's like eating frozen custard. It stretches. It's got so much eggs in it.
Yeah, it's yummy.
Fucking great. And you can get it in little bitty places in Mississippi, and you know what I mean, for like $1.50 for a little pint of it. And they're beautiful flavors, man. Nana pudding, Rocky Road, fucking
Nana
banana
pudding.
split, just fucking what's the one? Pralines and cream. They even had sherbet, but they didn't have any. There were no bad flavors, and it was just a plain looking yellow carton with blue trim on it. Yellow and blue. Man, that shit was good. Didn't have any graphics or anything. Looked like something from the 50s. Tasted like something from the 50s.
It's pretty minimal.
Yeah. And it's the best ice cream I've had in the United States. To this day. Second to that would be Publix ice cream. Real good.
Yeah, their store brand is really good.
Real good.
Victor says Bluebell is out of Brenham, Texas.
Is it? Yeah. I know it's southern. It's all over. All in the South. That's the South's ice cream. You can get it at little dime stores and shit. They deliver it every day. Come in there and fill up them damn coolers because people buy them so quickly, buy them so fast. Little gas stations and stuff. That shit was fucking great, man. My dad would be visiting my dad. He goes, go down there and go get us some ice cream. Yeah. He had to drive 2 miles to go get some ice cream and shit. Yeah.
Hugo said, I survived an earthquake myself when I was 16 years old. Almost got buried under an 8th-story building. Then I volunteered to pull people out of the debris, but stopped after 4 weeks. Too many dead people. That's fucked up, man. That reminds me, I forgot to tell you, on my way home from work today, about 10 miles from here, I see all these fucking ambulances and fire trucks and shit like that screaming down the road, and there's a big old farm or something like that just burning. It's burning down.
They're burning down all the food manufacturing facilities.
I mean, I think it was just a house, like, with a farm behind it.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, because I'd been driving, and I was like, wow, it smells like smoke out here. Somebody must be burning some trash or something. I was like, oh, well, that explains the smell. Yeah. And there was just kind of like there was fire trucks and shit like that everywhere. Man, that shit was burning.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
So what's the next story?
All right, the next story is the one that... How
long have you been streaming?
41 minutes.
Is it time for commercials?
No.
Okay.
It's only 41 minutes.
After this, we'll do commercials.
Okay.
Yeah.
Celtic Angel 73, it said, we have Blue Bunny here in Wisconsin, but I don't think we have Bluebell.
Bluebell's the best one.
We have Blue Bunny, too.
Yeah.
Blue Bunny is also good.
I never had that one.
But, yeah. I mean, all ice cream's pretty good, to be honest. It's like, even bad ice cream's still pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, so this is the one, like I said, this woman that fell out of a plane. Now, there's 2 stories. I'm sure it's happened more than once. But the other one, the one you were thinking about, like the woman that worked on the plane, that was, what was her name? Visna Volchevic, something like that. But yeah, that was just the one where she was working on the plane and like she got sucked out.
Yeah.
So this woman, this happened in 1971. And her name is Juliane Koepcke. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. So she didn't work on the plane. She was just on the flight. And it was Lanza Flight 508. And this was on Christmas Eve of 1971. At the time, Juliane Koepcke was 17 years old. Now, her and her mom were actually going from Lima, Peru, to the city of Pucallpa, to visit her dad. Now, both of her parents were zoologists, I think, and they worked in the Amazon rainforest. Like they had a thing there. So she was going to follow in their footsteps. She was like really into it. So she knew a little bit about the rainforest and because her parents had a sanctuary thing there. So so they're going out to visit the dad. Now, they were supposed to go a couple days earlier, but it's like, oh, she had high school graduation stuff and all this other kind of thing. So her mom's like, that's okay. We can go on Christmas Eve and we'll go see him. So she gets on the plane. She's in seat 19F. The plane has 86 passengers on it, as well as some crew members as well. Now, the flight was only supposed to be an hour long. However, 25 minutes into the flight, they hit a huge, huge thunderstorm. So the plane basically flies into this really dense cloud cover, and there's just like lightning flashing all over the place. Now, obviously, there's a lot of turbulence inside the cabin. Like all of the, baggage is like popping out of the overhead compartments and all that other kind of stuff. And, Julianne's mom is starting to freak out a little bit, as you would. And then lightning struck the motor, and the plane basically disintegrated. Like, it just fell into a bunch of pieces. Juliane, the quote that she gave said, "The next thing I knew, I was no longer inside the cabin. I was outside in the open air. I hadn't left the plane had left me."
Damn.
Which is fucking horrifying.
The plane disintegrated from around
it just
her.
broke into pieces, and she was just like falling. And it's ugh, like that's like that, and getting sucked under by sharks is like my worst fucking fears. It makes me never want to leave the fucking house ever again. She was still strapped into her seat, obviously, so she's basically just like falling in the seat out of the sky. So yeah. Mercifully, she lost consciousness, which probably, like I said, very small mercy. When she woke up, she discovered that she had fallen 10,000 feet out of the sky into the middle of the rainforest in Peru. And she only had quite minor injuries. I mean, she did have a broken collarbone and like some other stuff, but nothing really, really bad. So, and one of her eyes, I think, was like swollen shut, so she couldn't see all that good, and she had a cut like on her leg. So at first she just kind of like woke up and sort of realized what happened, and she's like, what the fuck? And then like kind of lost consciousness again. Now, by the time she kind of woke up and got her bearings, it took her several hours to kind of get to her feet. She's kind of hurt and she's in shock and everything like that. Now, the first thing she tried to do was find her mom, because like I said, she'd been sitting next to her mom on the plane, but she could not find her. Now, while she was kind of out exploring, looking for her mom, she came across like a little well or like a little stream or something like that. So because she had kind of grown up around the Amazonian rainforest, like I said, both her parents were zoologists and, you know, lived out in the rainforest, like studying the wildlife and stuff like that. So she knew that it's like, oh, well, all you have to do is follow water and you'll eventually find civilization. So that's what she decided to do. So she starts going downstream. And she walked when she could. Sometimes she'd get in the water and swim, but she had to be like kind of careful of like, you know, piranhas and caimans and things like that, you know, not to get eaten. Also, she had like a wound in her arm that had like maggots or something in it, like, or you know, that were like kind of eating her. So she was kind of like trying to get rid of that. So she was out there. Well, she was out there for days and days with no food. She did have water because there was, you know, a stream and everything, so she could drink out of that. And she would, like, lick off the water off the leaves and stuff because it's rainforest. On the fourth day of her walking around, she came... I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. She came across 3 other passengers from the plane. They were still strapped into their seats.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
And they had hit the ground head first, and they had hit so hard that they were buried like 2 or 3 feet down in the dirt, and like their feet were like sticking
just
up
feet, yeah,
like that.
Damn.
Can you fucking imagine? I can't imagine. And one of them, 2 of them were men, and one of them was a woman, and she was like, I wonder if that's my mom. And she went over there and took the shoe off of the woman's corpse because her mom, like, and she knew that it wasn't her mom because the lady had nail polish on her toes.
Yeah.
And she's like, and her mom didn't wear toenail polish. So she's like, she knew that wasn't her.
Damn.
But it's like, can you imagine? God,
Does she remember hitting the ground or the trees? How did she survive? She doesn't remember.
No, she lost consciousness while she was falling, as far as she remembered.
So she just woke up on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder how she lived. She must have fallen through the trees.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rainforest, and there's like a lot of, you know, canopy. So I'm imagining because... Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I think she lost consciousness when she was falling. Like, she said she was aware that she was falling, but then she lost consciousness, and when she woke up again, she was on the ground.
Yeah. That's it, people. That's what Bluebell looks like. Look at that shit. Damn, I can't get a good image on that. That's it. That shit's fucking good. They got a store locator. I'm gonna locate and see if we got a store around here, because I haven't had that in a while. I think we have it here. Publix has it. Don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna get some.
Okay.
I'm gonna get some of that shit.
Larry and Creature said, yeah, if we're talking fucked up things, my neighbor killed himself last year, and just 2 days ago, my friend, who lives about a mile away from me, his neighbor killed himself by stabbing himself. Holy shit.
Damn.
Celtic Angel 73, I fly a few times a year, and it isn't my favorite thing. Yeah, I'm just... I told you before, it's like, I didn't mind flying the first few times I did it, but then I had like a really, really terrible flight that was very, very stressful, and after that, I just dreaded it every single time.
I love flying.
Zach says, did y'all hear Raquel Welch died? Yeah, I did hear that, actually. I don't think we announced it on the show, but yeah, she did.
Is that it on that case?
No.
It isn't? Okay.
Larry and Creature said, I've never been on a damn plane, just Europe and home England ferry across. Yeah, it's not fun. Mango said, right, that's put me off flying. Not that it would take much anyway. Yeah, it's like, I know, like I said, intellectually, I know it's like very, very rare that things like that happen, but it's like, it still could happen. I mean, you might just be that your number might come up that day. And it's like, that's really just not the way I want to go.
I like helicopters,
Not
man.
at all.
I like
Not
helicopters. It's a lot wilder, better. Flying with the doors open and stuff, going over nap of the earth, just over treetop at night, man. Machine gunner hanging out the side, Hueys, UH-60s, CH-47s. Fucking didn't do any little birds, but the other stuff, yeah, fucking loved it.
Larry and Creature said, they say it's better to be limp, though, and knocked out, like how drunk drivers survive accidents. Yeah, I think maybe that might have helped. But they always tell you this, too, because I remember them telling this in driver's ed, for Christ's sake, is that relax. They're like, yeah, your first instinct, usually, if something bad's going to happen, is like to tense up. But they're like, that is absolutely not what you should do. You should kind of like, you should just go completely limp.
Yep. You hit like the sack of shit you are.
But maybe that's what... I mean, that probably helped her.
I think she went through the canopy
she was unconscious.
First.
Well, yeah, that probably broke her fall too. I'm imagining.
She had forward momentum because she was coming out of an aircraft. It might have been doing 400 knots, 500 knots. So she must have hit the canopy, and she wasn't in the seat, so she didn't have that much mass. You know.
Well, she was in the seat.
She was in the seat.
Yeah.
Okay, then that means the bottom of the seat must have hit a branch, and that absorbed a lot of shock. And it slowed her down a lot, and then it started to tumble after that through the canopy, and it landed in the right way, maybe on its back, where it's soft ground, and it absorbed the final impact. But it must have hit the tree canopy the right way from the back. You know what I mean? It hit a big branch and probably snapped it, and that would have taken that might have sapped 100 miles an hour off of that impact. Just that right there. You know?
Yeah.
It's something like that happened.
Probably. I mean,
I've come off motorcycles before, probably going about 70. And you don't have far to fall, but that forward momentum, it's all kind of happening at once. It's just depends on the angle of everything, Whether the road is turning and it happens in a turn and you slide off the road. There's a bunch of ways to slow down, Something slowed her down going through that canopy.
Yeah, because, it's
the only way.
10,000 feet is a long way.
Yeah. But terminal velocity is only about, 130 miles an hour. But she had forward momentum also. So, there's no telling how much speed she bled off before she hit the canopy. Because she's not falling straight down. So, I don't know what her airspeed would have been. And what the angle in relation to the ground, that's going to be another factor. Like I think that one girl who got sucked out, part of the reason why she survived is she hit around the crest of a hill, and she went down the back side of the hill, of the slope. You know what I mean? Her downward trajectory kind of lined up with the back end of a slope, and she tumbled down it, slid down it. That took most of the speed off of her.
Well, the one that I was, the case that I was going to talk about before, like of the woman that got sucked out of the plane and fell like 10,000 feet or whatever, they said she might have survived because for some of the journey, she was still like sort of in the plane because she was pinned by a food cart, like in the back of the fuselage. So when it kind of became detached, because her plane also fell apart like in the sky, which... great. I just love saying that out loud.
Well, it's because it's spinning. It's ripping itself apart.
But yeah, so she wasn't like, she was thrown out later, but it was kind of like she had like part of the plane with her like on the way down. So but there was lots of different things.
It might have been kind of flat, and as it's spinning, it's acting like a parachute and slowing her down. But like I said, terminal velocity I think is 130 miles an hour, equivalent to that. So you're at least going to hit at 130. You know, unless it's flat enough to slow you down less than that. And that's not counting whatever the forward momentum, whatever the forward velocity of that aircraft was. It might be fucking 600 knots. There's no way of knowing. You know, it's fast. So it's nothing compared to that 130 miles an hour. But you got to bleed off all that speed somehow.
Winterfell Forever said, so Rambo's fall in First Blood could happen. Imagine that.
I don't remember which one that was. I don't remember that fall. The fall he fell out of the helicopter? Is that what he's talking about?
I guess so.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie. Larry and Creature said, cars are way more likely to kill us, but it doesn't take a psychologist to know why people are afraid of flying. Yeah, I mean, when you're in a car, you at least have the illusion of control because you're steering the shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could mess up and kill. But for me, like, the reason I don't like flying is because I don't like heights. You know what I mean? I'm bothered by the fact that, like, yeah, I could get in a car crash. It's like, I don't want that to happen. But I don't like the idea of falling out of the sky, of, like, being aware that you're falling all that way. That's what scares me more than hitting the ground.
I don't like heights either. But I don't get a sensation of heights inside a helicopter or an aircraft, an airplane, fixed-wing aircraft.
I totally do.
I don't get that sensation. Everything just looks far away. You look down, everything looks far away. And you know, chopper comes down and lands. It's just nice. It doesn't bother me. And I've jumped out of helicopters. It was on a line, 200-foot line, chopper rappel stuff, and that's not too bad. But I have a hard time looking down the side of a skyscraper or a photograph of somebody doing that. It can upset me. You know, get that vertigo feeling.
Yeah.
But I never had that with aircraft for some reason.
To me, it's all the same. It seems the same to me.
It doesn't seem the same to me.
Celtic Angel 73, thank you very much for the super chat. Where can I contact you to get your mailing address? I would love to send a little gift package to you. Fair warning, I'm a huge procrastinator, so it might take a while. Aw, thank you. You don't have to do that, but that's very, very, I would appreciate it. You can message me on Facebook or Instagram. I mean, Facebook is probably like more likely for me to get it because sometimes I forget like to check my messages on Instagram. Usually I get them on both, like, because usually I get the Instagram ones on Facebook as well, but not always because that's just how it works out. But usually like Facebook, either the 13 o'clock page or something like that, I'll probably get it and I can send you my address if you would like that. Mango said, just watch out for a plane crashing onto your car though. I've had a lot of nightmares where it's weird because I'm really afraid of like being in a plane crash, but I've never had a nightmare where I was in a plane crash. However, I have had several nightmares where I was on the ground and saw a plane crash in front of me. And I'm not really sure like why that is. Maybe it's my brain like trying to spare me like the horror. I guess it's like you can watch it from afar. You don't want to be like involved in the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But most of them don't crash the way described in this, where they just disintegrate in midair. That's very rare. Most of them crash during landing or takeoff, so they're not very high off the ground anyway, and it's usually some kind of catastrophic failure or something. And if you watch how it goes, it's not really falling, it's losing altitude. You know what I mean? So it's not like a dead fall. It's flying and the angle's wrong, and then it can't save itself, and wing hits the ground and it starts to fold up on itself, and it just gone in a fucking ball of fire. Those people never know anything about falling or anything. They're just vaporized. It's fucking hot when that shit fucking goes up. Usually it's full of fuel. It's just, you know, just fucked up, you know.
Celtic Angel said, I'm terrified of heights, yet I love roller coasters. Yeah, I like roller coasters too. But the thing about it is, like, I'm probably more scared because you know how some roller coasters or some rides and stuff, and you have to go up the like the stairs and stuff, like up to the platform. That's scarier to me than the actual roller coaster is. like going up to the high place, like to get there.
Yeah.
Once I'm on the roller coaster, I'm fine.
They know that though. It's all that anticipation. They're going click, 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 click.
No,
click.
I'm talking about walking in line.
Oh,
I'm not
walking in
talking
line?
about, yeah,
Okay.
walking in line.
I thought you were talking about when you go to that very
No,
first one.
No, I said once I get on the thing, I'm
Oh,
all
okay.
right.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about being in line,
Yeah.
like walking
All right.
up the height to the fucking
okay.
thing. That's what I was
You
talking
said
about.
walking up. That's what I thought you were talking about.
No.
All right.
I'm not walking. That's clicking up.
Yeah.
Victor says, my biggest fear when flying to Europe and back was someone's electronics catching fire in the cargo area while over the Atlantic. Yeah, that's what I didn't really like having to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. You know what I mean? It's because there's not a lot of places to go if something goes wrong, and you're over the ocean for like 7, 8, 9 hours, and I'm just like, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. You know what I mean? They try to stay over land as long as possible.
There's a
Like,
lot of
'cause they-
air traffic going in
Because
that
they
area.
fly, well, I know that, but it's
Yeah.
like they kind of fly like up and over, like over Greenland and shit like that. But they're still over open ocean like longer than I would like, you know.
Yeah.
And like I said, bad enough like the fucking plane crash, and then with my luck, I'd survive the crash, and then I'd like there'd be sharks like fucking circling.
They have huge, automatically dispensed fucking rafts.
Yeah, I
You
know.
seen those things that
Yeah,
come
I've seen 'em.
out? Yeah, and the plane I think could float for a long time if they. If
Yeah, they
ditch
make
it right
everything
way.
like that nowadays.
Yeah.
But it's like that doesn't mean that I want that. I want to go through that.
Your chances are good on those things.
I don't know. I just
Yeah.
I don't like the thought of it. I just don't.
Just got to man up. Man up on that shit.
Why? I don't have to go anyplace.
I love it. This is aircraft, you know.
I don't have to go anyplace.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, but seriously, fuck the ocean. I don't need to be going out in the ocean. But so yeah. So where was I? Okay, so she checked if one of the dead people was her mom, but it wasn't. But while she was checking, she actually managed to find a bag of candy. That was the only food that she had, like, the whole time. She had water, like I said, because she was in the rainforest and there was, like, rain all over the leaves and everything. But she didn't have any food. But she did find a little bag of candy, so that's just what she ate, like, the rest of the time. Now, because the plane had crashed, there was obviously a rescue mission, but they didn't really know where the plane was because, you know, it's the rainforest, so it's super, super thick, and they couldn't really see anything from the air. So, you know, she kept seeing and hearing, like, planes and helicopters and shit like that, like, going over and was trying to, like, get their attention, but they never saw her because the canopy was too thick. So, basically, she was in the forest for 9 days. And she finally found a hut, but there was nobody in it. So she's like, well, I'm going to go in here and sleep, and maybe, like, somebody lives here, and they'll come back. And then she's like, well, but if nobody comes back, there's nothing else around, so I'm probably just going to die out here because I don't have any food or anything. So she was out there resting in this place, and then she hears voices. And then she sees 3 guys. It's 3 loggers. And they were the ones who lived in the hut. And they came out, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, who's this person? And she was like, oh my God, I'm saved. And she's like, she said the first guy looked like an angel. The men, though, were, like, afraid of her.
Yeah,
they thought that she was
crazy or something.
a water spirit.
A water spirit.
That's what they said. They didn't know. I guess she looked kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And she was kind of wounded and everything. So I don't know, like,
Thought she was a ghost.
why they thought that. Yeah, they thought she was, like, some kind of supernatural whatever. So they were like, okay, well, she's like, no, seriously, I was just in a plane crash. It's fine. So they actually let her stay there overnight. And then the next day they had to, like, put her in a boat, and it was, like, a long way, like, to the hospital. So she had been in the jungle for 11 days. She had water, but only a bag of candy. And she wasn't horribly wounded, but she was kind of wounded. She did have a broken collarbone. She had, like, a big gash in her leg. I think she had a cut in her arm that had, like, maggots and shit in it. Because I think at the hut, she actually found a thing of gasoline and was, like, pouring the gasoline, trying to kill him because they were, like, eating her flesh or whatever.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. If that ever happens to you in this situation, leave them maggots in there. All right? It sounds crazy, but they're eating fucking dead flesh and infected flesh. There's actually some hospitals that'll put those things in there. They're grown in a sterile environment. They'll put them in there and they'll strip off any kind of dead flesh, anything that's infected. They don't have any teeth, so they can't eat anything that's any living material off of you. So it ends up being pretty surgical. Just let them eat it. Keep the infection from spreading. Or if it does spread, they're getting it as it goes. It's not going to get that bad, you know. Yes, I wouldn't recommend fucking cleaning them out. But I imagine it's probably fucking gross seeing them in there.
Well, yeah, and it had been days and days, and it was just probably like,
They may have saved her though. Those maggots. They may have saved her from shit that could happen. Yeah.
Yeah, always look on the bright side.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I got a wound full of maggots, but
they can only eat dead flesh. They can't eat living flesh.
That you know of, unless you got one that goes rogue.
They use them. They use them to fucking get rid of gangrene and shit.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Mango said that would have been a bad ending. Found and burned to the stake for being mistaken for a water witch. I know. Yeah. Wouldn't that have been a fucking she survived survived a plane crash, survived like 11 days in the jungle, and then she got killed by somebody thinking she was like a fucking supernatural being or something. So she was eventually rescued, and she helped the authorities go and find the wreckage, and they did recover all of the bodies eventually, and she actually had to help identify some of them. There had been 92 people on board. Like I said, 86 of them were passengers, including her. She was the only one that survived. She did find out later on, I guess they were able to determine, this is kind of shitty, but her mom, because remember she was on the plane with her mom, they were able to determine that her mom had also survived the crash, but had succumbed to her injuries after being in the ground. She didn't know where she was. She was looking for her, like Juliane was looking for her, but she couldn't find her. But they said that the mom had probably lived a day or two also.
What was the injuries, did they say?
I don't know. Yeah. But they were like really, really bad. They said that a couple of the other passengers had actually survived the crash, they were still alive when they hit the ground, but they died later on because their injuries were too bad and they hadn't been found. So some of them, they think that they did live a couple of days. Juliane was just like super, super lucky that she fell in a particular, and she wasn't horribly, horribly injured and was still able to walk and like go and find help and stuff. She not surprisingly developed a really intense fear of flying after this, which, can't blame her for that. And had really bad PTSD, like recurring nightmares and stuff. But, she was able to kind of get her shit together. She, did just like she was going to do. She got reunited with her dad. Her mom died, obviously. But she went and studied biology and became a, zoologist, just like she had wanted to, just like her parents. And she went back to Peru and studied mammals. And then got married later on. Now, Werner Herzog actually made a documentary about her called Wings of Hope in 1998. And he took her back to the Peruvian jungle, like where the plane crash was. And he filmed her like walking around the area, which you'd think would be kind of fucked up. But it had been like several years. And she said it was actually really therapeutic, like going back to the spot again and like retracing her steps, like where she had been. They said that when she was flying to Peru with Werner Herzog, she said she had the same seat number, 19F, as she had in the plane. I'd have been like, no, I'm getting off this plane right now. It's fucking cursed. But yeah, she also wrote a book about her experiences, and it's called When I Fell from the Sky, which is, yikes. I can't fucking imagine. I mean, this is horrible. What?
It's time for commercials.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Are you sure?
Yes, it is. Go ahead and do the commercials and take a break.
Tom's making me do commercials.
We have to do commercials.
And then,
this is a business.
I'm just kidding. And then we have one more case
to
talk about, which is really fucked up.
Okay.
Which is, again, really fucked up. All right, so we're going to do some commercials, and then we'll come back and talk about one more fucked up case. So we'll be back in just a minute. All right, we're back. Winterfell Forever said, I had maggots that a especially vicious Brazilian fly leaves you in form of eggs under your skin. Yeah, I think I saw, remember that show that used to be on? Was it Monsters Inside Me?
That damn Curataba or whatever.
That, like, lays eggs in you.
Yeah,
and, like,
Catatabara. I don't remember that shit.
Yikes, that shit is so gross.
Yeah.
Is that show still on? That was a good show. Like, it was about being infested with
some kind of parasites.
With various things. Parasites and bugs and shit like that. It was horrifying to watch, but it was still, like, kind of fascinating at the same time. All right, so the next case that I want to talk about, last case I want to talk about, this is another one that Celtic Angel recommended. And this is, again, another case that I hadn't heard of, even though it's technically like a true crime case, so I don't know why I didn't hear about this one. But this happened in 1978. And this is the case of Mary Vincent. So, in 1978, Mary Vincent was 15 years old. And she was in Berkeley, California, where she lived. Now, her big thing was she wanted to be a dancer. And she was apparently, like, very, very good at it. So, I guess that was her big dream or whatever. So, she was also, I feel like, a little bit troubled. I don't know if I'd say troubled, but maybe like rebellious, which I guess a lot of teenagers are around that age when she was 15. Her parents were getting divorced, and she decided she was going to run away from home. I don't know if this was the first time that she had done this, but she decided that she was going to hitchhike to Los Angeles. Now, it's the 70s. Nobody hitchhikes. Well, people do hitchhike nowadays, but I think it's only when they're desperate. Like, normally, you would not hitchhike. But I kind of feel like in the late 60s and early 70s, even in the late 70s, it was just a thing, like, people did it all the time, and I don't think they really thought all that much about it. Even though, man, I've written about so many cases where somebody was hitchhiking and they got murdered. So, which is almost what happened here. But yeah. So she decides she's going to hitchhike to Los Angeles. So she's out there for a little while, and then a blue van stops. Now, the guy behind the wheel didn't look terribly threatening. You know, he was middle-aged kind of guy. She said it kind of reminded her of her grandfather. Now, I've heard some other versions of the story that it's like she was kind of like there were some other people around her, like, also hitchhiking. And I think some of the older girls that were hitchhiking kind of like said to Mary Vincent, it's like, hey, don't go with that guy. Like, he seems super sketch. But she didn't think that he seemed all that sketchy. Like I said, he seemed kind of like grandfatherly. So she didn't really initially have any reason to fear him. So she gets into the car. Now, this guy, as it turns out, she didn't know this until later, but he was actually a merchant marine seaman, and his name was Lawrence Singleton. Now, she wanted to go to Interstate 5, and he said, yeah, I'll drive you. Just, hop on in. Now, apparently they drove for some time, everything was normal. They said he seemed completely normal. She was even felt so safe that she even took a nap at one point and like woke up and everything was fine. However, a few hours into the journey, she fell asleep again and then woke up and realized that he was not heading toward where he said he was going to be heading.
She fell asleep. He's like, oh shit, she's sleeping. I'm taking her somewhere.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Yeah. So she immediately gets really suspicious, and I guess there was like a pointed stick, like a surveyor stick, like in the car. So she grabbed it and like kind of pointed it at him, and was like, "Hey, take me back to where you said you were going to. I'm gonna fucking stab you," which that's what you would do. And he's like, "Oh no, never mind. I just made a wrong turn or something like that. It's fine. It's fine." Yeah, that's a likely story. So yeah. So he turns back around. He's like, see, look, I'm going back to the interstate. It was an honest mistake. That's nothing to get alarmed about. So then he drives like a few more miles. And then he's like, well, I got to take a leak. So he pulls the car over to the side of the road. And I can't, wait till we get to the rest stop or whatever. So Mary decides, okay, well, while he's doing that, she's going to get out and kind of stretch her legs or whatever. So she gets out of the car, and then she notices one of her shoelaces is untied. So she bends over to tie it. And while she was doing that, this motherfucker snuck up behind her and hit her in the side of the head with a sledgehammer.
Damn.
And knocked her unconscious.
She didn't see the sledgehammer?
No, I guess he just well, she was just going down like that, and he just came up, snuck up behind her.
Yeah.
And hit her in the head with a hammer.
How old is this guy?
She's middle-aged.
Oh, she said grandfatherly, so I was thinking fucking
Yeah, but
70s,
she's only 15.
Okay.
So,
He's probably 40.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So she's unconscious. So while she's unconscious, again, this motherfucker takes her out to this fucking remote area, rapes her, sodomizes her several times, and then she keeps going in and out of consciousness, and then after a while, she starts begging him to let her free. Mm-hmm. At which point, he throws her down on the ground.
She's losing consciousness because of the head injury?
Yeah, well, because of her head and because of the trauma and everything. Right. So he throws her on the ground, takes out a hatchet, and cuts off her arms.
Damn, both of them. Damn. At the elbow.
Just hacking.
Yeah.
Away at her arms.
Damn.
While she is just shrieking and screaming. And she said, this is so fucked up. Because I watched a thing with her later on. She said that she was I guess she was kind of trying to grab him like that. Mm-hmm. And she had her hands like that, and he chopped, mm-hmm. and she fell backward, and then she realized one of her arms is still
grabbing
onto his shirt, and I was like, oh my god, can you fucking imagine? Her arm was still...
That was a sharp-ass hatchet.
God. Yeah.
Wonder where he got that hatchet.
I don't know.
He sharpened it in preparation for this?
Probably.
Usually a hatchet's not real good at cutting through stuff like that.
Jeez.
It's for wood, you know what I mean? They're kind of dull.
He cut her fucking arms off, man. So he cuts her.
He cuts one off and then the other arm.
Yeah,
she sees that
while she's laying there. Yeah.
Damn.
And then.
Was he saying anything?
Well, wait.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. See, Jenny.
So he cut. Well, you just keep. You keep trying to jump ahead, when I'm not done with the story.
Okay, I'm gonna let you do this. I'm gonna let you do this.
So not only does he cut both of her arms off, at the forearms, at the elbow. Then he picks her up and throws her off a cliff type thing. It's 30 feet or something like that. Throws her off thing. Then he goes down there and stuffs her in a culvert. And it's there, now you're free, he said. Dang. Because she said, hey, can you let me free or something like
he
that.
Knew she was alive, huh?
Well, he didn't think she was going to fucking... I don't know if he knew she was alive at that point.
Okay.
Because after he threw her over the thing and stuffed her in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... Just for the record, this 15-year-old girl has been raped and sodomized multiple times, has had both of her arms cut off, has been thrown off a cliff, and then stuffed into a culvert.
Mm-hmm. Head first. It's a
pipe. Guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, a pipe.
Okay, yeah.
Jesus Christ. So then this fucking dude just gets in his car and drives off it's a totally fucking normal, it's the most normal thing to do. Now the next morning, Mary Vincent gets found by two women.
How the hell did they find her?
Listen to this.
Damn.
She actually managed to get out of the culvert and get back up on the road. Mm-hmm. The two women were driving by and they saw her walking along the road naked
with no arms
and her arms, she was holding them up like that. She just said later she was trying to keep the blood and the muscles from falling out.
Damn.
That's what she said in the court document.
They never found the arms, huh?
No.
Damn.
But he said, can you imagine driving down the street and seeing a naked girl, little girl, driving with her arm with no arms, holding her arms up like that?
Damn.
I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that a guy kind of slowed down but was oh, fuck this action and kept going.
Freaked him out too bad.
Freaked him out, which I guess it would, but that's not excusable. I mean, you need to help that person. So,
maybe he couldn't believe it. He might
yeah.
And then he's like, man, they'll blame me or some shit like that, you know?
Yeah, maybe that's what
if
he
she
was
dies,
thinking.
they'll blame me. They'll blame me. Something like that.
But yeah, it's
Which
like
in the U.S. they probably would.
Well, yeah,
if she got in the car with him and fucking she died in the car, they probably would fucking blame him.
Well, because 99% of the time,
Yeah.
that's who fucking did it.
Yeah.
So, I hate to say, but that's just statistically.
So maybe he might have been did in a weird way did the self-preservation route.
Maybe.
But the thing is, you could jump out and put tourniquets on her so she didn't lose any more blood.
Yeah.
And if she wasn't dead by then, she's not going to die. She had been down there
Well,
overnight.
she didn't. Yeah, she was down there overnight.
See, I have a hard time
with no arms.
Yeah,
and
I
like
have a
fucking...
hard time understanding how you can cut through such a large artery without any kind of tourniquet on there and not lose all your blood. I mean, she must have had some badass coagulation fucking abilities.
I guess. I mean, I can't imagine. Well, like I said, that's
usually
why
you lose a limb, it kills you. If you don't apply pressure to it, you know.
I mean, maybe she did. I don't know. Like, I don't know
how could she apply pressure to her
right?
arm?
That's what I mean.
And she was probably unconscious down in that pipe for a while.
Yeah, and Justice for Me said, "How did she not go into shock?" So that's.
I'm sure she did. She probably wasn't shocked.
I mean, she had to have been.
Oh yeah. She probably didn't feel a thing.
I hope not.
You get disassociated from your body.
Yeah, because your brain usually has like a little mechanism where it's like, whoop, checking out.
Yeah.
We don't want to have you to deal with this.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Most animals are gonna have that ability. I guess just given to you by nature somehow. Most animals in nature die from being eaten alive. You know, that's a fucking bad way to go. I mean, these beautiful birds of prey, you know, these fucking eagles and shit, grabbing the family cats and ripping it apart while it's alive. You know what I mean? They're fucking bad way of going, you know? But that's how most animals go. So humans probably inherited that from our animal ancestors, where you can just mentally check out like you're not there. You know, like you're seeing it from above type of deal.
Yeah.
It's too much sensory overload. Too much fucking... there's no reason to go through it, so you just shut it all down. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's fucking crazy.
Well, just like, you know, those toolbox killers.
Yeah.
According to the recordings of what they were doing, the problem was that they couldn't get the girls to scream loud enough. They probably weren't feeling a whole lot through all that adrenaline and shit going through them and going into shock. They probably didn't feel much. They say the body under torture shuts down pretty rapidly.
Well, yeah, and I imagine, you know, everybody's different, but because the experience of it is just so surreal, I guess, in a lot of ways, and like you said, you just kind of go into shock and you might just dissociate.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a lot of people's way of dealing with it.
That's why those Mongolians were so good at breaking people's souls over times with those fucking coffin prisons. Back in the early 1900s, they just put you in a box that you can't really sit up or... It's a small box. You can't stretch out. It's just got a little hole in the center, and they just keep you in there. I think they let you out once a week, but you're in there with your own shit and everything, stacked inside this damn prison. It's like a Mongolian prison. They're banned now. You know what I mean? But there's some photographs surviving it. You know, people's heads trying to look through that little hole. The prison guards, if they had mercy on somebody, they'd just leave them outside in winter and let them starve and not give them a blanket for that night, and they'd fucking freeze to death. It's usually how they kind of mercy killed them. But some of them were in there for years and came out. But shit, man, you'd be fucked up. It'd take you another couple years, 3 years to mentally get right after living in that box.
Yeah, I'm sure some people will probably never recover. Yeah. And like I said, you can't really blame them.
Most of them died in there. You know what I mean? Most of them never completed their sentences. Some of them had it for life in there, too.
Tammy said maybe when he threw her into the pipe, somehow she landed on her arms just right to apply some pressure. Yeah, maybe they were kind of like pressed down against the concrete.
How'd she get out, though?
Well, she got out. I guess she climbed out.
Shimmied out backwards?
Yeah, I guess so. Larry and Creature said, one time my granddad said he saw someone get crushed working construction, like his chest caved in. And for a few seconds after it happened, the guy said, "It's okay, I'm fine." Then he died instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say shit like that.
Yeah. Dento-sama? Is that how you pronounce that? Hey, I'll be listening during work, but how are you two? We're good. How are you doing? Yeah. Talking about some fucking crazy survival stories.
In infantry, you hear all kinds of tales about dudes that got shot. And a lot of them just ripped to shreds instantly and just killed, at close range. But every now and then you hear one where a guy gets hit by an enemy round and fucking looks to the guy next to him and goes, he missed. But he didn't miss. He hit him, and then the guy's died. He died. Fucking put a hole right through him, fucking long ways through the torso. And he goes, he missed, and then died. So he didn't even know that the bullet hit him.
I mean, in a way, I guess that's better because you don't suffer.
Yeah.
But that's like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's better than just like sitting there feeling every single.
Well, some of them
thing.
do. Evidently.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like and you probably never know until it happens to you, like which kind of person you are. You would think that most people would have like survival thing where your body would just be like if something's that traumatic, you know what I mean? But yeah.
I've been in fights that are so bad, got punched in the fucking solar plexus, and all of a sudden I was standing behind myself, seeing myself from the back, like it knocked my soul out. Yeah. And you see the fight from looking down on it, and you're losing. Yeah. Yeah. Some of you guys maybe have been in that.
No, I haven't. No. Okay, so these two women see her walking down the street, like holding her arms up so her blood wouldn't fall out, which that's fucking crazy. So they take her to the hospital. Now, listen, this girl is such a badass. Not only did she survive all of that, but they got her to the hospital, got the tourniquets on, everything like that. She was able to give such a good description of the motherfucker that did this to her that his neighbor recognized him from the picture and called the cops.
Okay.
They said it was like, yeah, I know that motherfucker. That's that Singleton dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was cogent enough to give like a really good description because she was with him for a while.
This couldn't have been his first time.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into that in a second.
He must have been a serial killer.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that because they only. Well, okay. Well, I'll get into it. Like I said, you're jumping ahead, but yeah. So they call the cops. Now, okay, so this is kind of fucked up. This is, the 1970s. Now, he got put on trial, and he got convicted, but he only got 14 years because it was only considered attempted murder, which is dumb because I kind of feel like he was probably pretty sure that she was dead. Like, and that was his intention, clearly.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like they probably should have punished him as if she had died.
Yeah, but that's being guilty of murder. He didn't kill her. He failed to kill her, so it was attempted. Yeah, it's just that in this case, the maximum sentence of 15 years isn't enough.
That's not enough. Because of, like, look what he fucking did to her.
That state didn't have... There are some states that have certain, enhancements. You know what I mean? Where, because this happened during a rape, and because kidnapping was involved, and all this, and like some states, just kidnapping alone is life.
Yeah.
Okay, so this also constitutes kidnapping, and kidnapping is just taking someone somewhere where they do not want to go,
right,
against their will, actively. All right. In the state of Louisiana, that's life. It's a life sentence. And it's usually a way of getting rapists locked up for life.
Yeah.
Because they usually have to kidnap the person. Now, so, should have been, you got 15 years for the fucking attempted murder, but he got life for the kidnapping.
Right.
And got 60 years for the fucking, all the sexual assault stuff that he did. So there's all kinds of ways that they should have got him.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, if you thought 14 years wasn't enough just for attempted murder.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, at the trial, like, she was there, like, giving testimony and everything like that.
She's got fake arms
and,
now.
Well, now she does.
Yeah.
And he threatened her.
Oh, really?
He basically came and whispered to her, it's like, I'm going to finish the job, like, when I get out.
Yeah. No.
Jesus Christ.
So did did she charge him a terroristic threat?
See, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
terroristic threat's another one that they can get you on.
But so
That's
he got
10 years right there.
right.
Sometimes.
So he got sentenced to 14 years.
Yeah.
However, he only served 8 years and 4 months because good behavior.
Yeah, you got good behavior. They had to do 50% of his time, so they let him. Yeah. Yeah.
Even though, like, a lot of his psychiatrists and everything like that said,
Don't let that fucker out.
said don't let that fucker out. That he constitutes an elevated threat because of his hostility. And
that's
anger.
obviously that's a serial murderer.
Yeah, I mean,
that could be his only one.
And he actually, not only did he threaten Mary Vincent, but he also wrote letters to Mary Vincent's lawyer threatening them as well.
Damn, they didn't use any of that against the 70s,
and
man. Back
so,
in the 70s,
it was the 70s. Everything was just like, whatever.
Go,
whatever. Yeah, it's fine.
All that damn toxic lead in the fucking environment.
Nobody was worried about
affecting the
anything.
fucking whole criminal justice system. The judges are like, I'll be all right.
it'll probably be.
Yeah,
And if it's not, oh well.
Yeah, well, just people.
I mean,
yeah,
just Jesus Christ. So,
she shouldn't have been hitchhiking alone. She shouldn't have been wearing that dress.
Well, that's what I mean.
That
They're going to victim blame. I mean, they still do that now, but it was like way worse in the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't have been doing this, and you shouldn't have been doing that. You shouldn't have run away from home.
Don't you know that girls get raped? I mean, shit, you didn't know that? I mean, I'm not making fun of wisdom. You really shouldn't be doing anything unwise. But 15-year-old girls are unfucking wise, okay?
Well, yeah, that's kind of like the definition of a teenager. Right. You do dumb shit.
Yeah.
That's just what you do. It makes me mad because I always kind of feel like they're always like, well, you shouldn't have been wearing that, or you shouldn't have been at that party, or you shouldn't have been
15,
drinking.
Man.
And I was like, but they never really seem to tell the guys, well, you shouldn't be raping people.
Yeah.
Duh.
Well, then
like, why is it always like? Why is the onus always on the victim to like do something different?
You know what I'm talking about. I don't think that's what their intent is of why they're doing that. It's the fact is they just go, man, you got hurt. You should have known better because it's a dangerous place. That's the thinking. But they're not going to say, so we're going to let this guy off like he's supposed to do it. That's not what they're talking about. But the thing is like. Yeah, that girl's 15. 15-year-olds are fucking dumb. Even smart ones are dumb. They just don't have the life experience. Their brains aren't developed until you're fucking, 22, 23 anyway. And
the thing about the 70s was that, I mean, this isn't an excuse, but a lot of people hitchhiked.
Yeah.
And 95% of the time, it was fine.
Yeah, that's dumb, though, too.
It is dumb. But I'm just saying that people did it a lot back then, and most of the time, it was fine. It's just like that, few percentage points that, it happened to be a serial killer.
Yeah. They thought it was like catching the train, I guess. But
it's just weird how casual people were about it back then. I wrote about so many cases where, teenage girls and stuff, nowadays, like, Jesus Christ, they would never do that.
They order an Uber and they're scared to get into the Uber because they don't like how the dude looks.
Well, because some Uber drivers are rapists, too. That's happened.
Yeah.
So, you can't trust nobody. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And I kind of feel like even nowadays, like where you have all these, things in place and everybody knows that, but you still have to be suspicious of everything.
What's funny is that when you actually analyze it, the difference in wisdom between a 15-year-old and a 10-year-old isn't very much. It's about the same. So blaming her would be like blaming a 10-year-old,
And that's the thing. Like I said, a lot of teenagers, and I just feel like, it'd be different. I don't know. It's like, even if it'd be different if you were an adult and you just like, oh, they should know better. But even then, it's just kind of like that doesn't mean that.
Come to think about it, though,
that doesn't mean that gives people right to like do terrible shit to you just because you did a stupid thing.
Come to think of it, though, I got these two little Cajun cousins. Okay, they were cute as shit. There was a couple years between them. They're from Louisiana. They were probably more together and more reliable, a little more wise at 10 than they were at 15, probably, though. those hormones kick in and they fucking did stupid shit. But when they were younger, they were more even-headed. So a 15-year-old might be dumber than a 10-year-old in terms of making a decision.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they're just not under the same hormonal forces, you know. Like, oh, I gotta go out tonight. You know what I mean? A 10-year-old doesn't think that way.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna stay home. You know. So it's that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You get in a lot more trouble.
So, yeah. So not only did this motherfucker threaten her, the victim said, oh, I'm going to finish the job when I get out, and called and, like, wrote letters to her lawyer, like, threatening them as well. So he gets out of prison. Well, so, like, even when he was still in prison, not surprisingly, Mary Vincent was, like, had really bad PTSD because she just kept thinking, oh, he's going to get out and he's going to come back and get me. Because that's what he said, right? Yeah. I mean, he knows who she is. I'd be fucking scared, too. So she had a real hard time, obviously. You know, so like I said, she wanted to be a dancer. That was all she ever wanted to do, and that was her dream, and she can't do it now. She doesn't have any arms. And they also use some, like, flesh and stuff for, like, from her leg, like, for skin grafts. Because I've seen, like, she has, like, it's just there. And she got prosthetics. She got, like, hooks, like, back then. But the thing about it was that she didn't get any compensation or anything like that. Damn. So when her prosthetic arms broke, like, she couldn't afford to get them fixed. Like, later on, she had to, like, file for bankruptcy and shit like that. And she just had years and years of, like, horrible depression. You know, and nightmares and everything like that because of what this stupid motherfucker did to her. And she just kept being worried that he was going to get out and, like, come back and kill her. You know what I mean? But, eventually, in 1999, she, you know, met a guy and got married and, went on and had a couple of kids. And then finally she was able to kind of sort of come to, like, some kind of peace about it and became, like, kind of a victim's advocate.
What happened to the dude?
But, well, I'm getting to that. All right, yeah. Just, like, stop jumping ahead. Damn. It's like, I don't understand.
Shit, man. Fucking, I'd find that dude, I'd smash his ass.
Well, listen to this shit. Okay. Listen to this shit. So, yeah, so she couldn't be a dancer, but it's like she did actually, like, learn to draw with her prosthetics. So she got, like, really good at that. So Lawrence Singleton, he did his 8 years and 4 months, which is pathetic, and got out. And then he moved to Florida because, of course, he did. That's where all the scumbags come to. They all move here. They call it Florida man for a reason. So yeah, this is the one of the worst examples of Florida man. So he moves here, and everybody kind of like, well, nobody wanted him in California. Like he tried to move. They tried to like put him in all these other neighborhoods, and everybody's like, oh no, absolutely not. And they were like, yeah, they're like, we don't want him here. So yeah, they put like signs out front saying like drop dead and all this other kind of stuff. So he moved to Florida.
This was in 99?
No, this was like a little earlier than that, I think. No, I guess it was. It was right around the 90s because he was jailed in what, 1978, 1979, something like that. And then like he was in for 8 years and 4 months. Yeah.
It's about 90.
So a couple of years after he got out, he was in Florida in his house. And there was a house painter who was working in the neighborhood. It was in Tampa, actually. And he was walking by this house, and he happened to, like, look in the window or, like, the sliding glass door or something like that. And he sees a naked man raising his arm, like, up and going up and down like that. And then underneath was like a woman who was like slouched over the couch who looked like she was covered with blood. And the painter said it sounded like bones crushing. Like he heard a noise like bones crushing. So the cops show up. And guess who it was in the house? Lawrence Singleton. It was his house, and there was blood all over the place. Now, he tried to come up with some fucking excuse.
She fell.
Or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this woman.
I was walking. I had the knife, and then she fell like 6 times. Yeah. She just fell on it. I don't know how it happened. It was a freak accident.
Yeah. So turned out that this woman who she was dead in the house. She was a woman named Roxanne Hayes. She was 31. She was a sex worker. He had hired her for $20.
Oof.
And she had come over.
Yeah.
She had 3 small children at home that she was trying to support, and this motherfucker just fucking stabbed her with a boning knife. So they caught him. Now, see, I thought before, like, okay.
Were they fighting over something, or he just brought her over to kill her?
I don't know, actually. I mean, it seemed like... I kind of feel like he probably just wanted to kill her.
Why would he do it in his own house, though?
Because he's a dumbass?
Yeah,
I don't know. These aren't the brightest bulbs in the tree. You know what I mean? But, well, see, that's the thing. Now, what he did to Mary Vincent in 1978, the fact that he very calculatedly... like, picked her up and then, like, took her for a long way and, like, didn't do anything, but then, like, oh, by the way, like, hit her with a hammer and then, like, did all that weird shit with, like, cutting her arms off and everything. I kind of suspect that that wasn't the first time that he had done that.
No, I don't know.
But I don't... And then the fact that he did it again, like, after he got out, like, he, picked up a woman, like, a sex worker, like, he hired her and then took her to the house and, like, just chopped her up. And I was just kind of like, I kind of wonder if there's other... victims out there that they don't know about.
Oh, absolutely.
Because jumping right to cutting a 15-year-old girl's arms off, that's not a first-timer move.
No.
So I kind of feel like this motherfucker probably did some shit prior to that.
Based on the escalations that usually happen in other cases that we've covered, now, some dudes never get to the point where they're cutting them up like that. But the ones that do cut them up and do that kind of shit, usually that's at least the third one, fourth one.
That's what I'm saying.
Before they start doing that kind of stuff.
So now I'm kind of wondering if Mary Vincent was not his first victim.
She's probably
I doubt
5
it.
or 6 or 7 probably.
It's just they never pinned stuff on him. Because like I said, it was the 70s and like a lot of people were hitchhiking and like transient. Yeah. And, oh my goodness. Pookie's like messing. She's knocking Spock over.
Stop molesting Spock.
She's like, but I love Spock.
That is fucking Mirror Spock, man. He's in the Mirror universe. Right? Yeah. He's not safe. He's dangerous.
He's not safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they catch this motherfucker. I mean, well, too late to save that second woman, unfortunately, and too late to save Mary Vincent's arms, unfortunately. But yeah, so they caught him and they, like, put him on trial, and Mary is like, well, I'm going to have to go testify because I want them to put him away, like, for fucking life this time. She didn't want to, but she kind of felt obligated. So yeah, she went and testified at the trial and sat up there in the stand and said, he raped me, cut my arms off, and he left me to die. And they said that it was kind of I know this is fucked up, but it was like really impactful because like she pointed at him and like she just has a hook for a hand, obviously.
That's sad.
That's fucked up. Yeah.
They got some stylish new arms now. You seen that girl she lost both her arms?
Yeah, the one that got her arms bitten off by sharks or
no,
shark.
She's I think she's British. I think it was she got some kind of frostbite and lost her arms. I think. When she was a little kid, they gave her them damn Alita Battle Angel arms, and she's got all the different colored ones, and it went just like I said. Remember I said, man, why do they make these prosthetics fucking that nasty looking fake flesh colored with all that weird shit? So make them fucking gloss black and silver and fucking,
make them like badass looking.
Yeah, and that's what they're all like, and they've got pressure pads in there. She can move the fingers. They're not directly wired into her nervous system like I think they'll eventually be one day, or we probably wouldn't have to do it that way. It'd be an implant. The chip implant in your brain that would probably just wirelessly communicate to the hands.
That's what I think they're working on that.
That'd be the way to do it. But
I want ones like lizard arms. I would like with scales and shit. That'd be cool.
Hers look like from Alita Battle Angel. They look like that. They look good.
I don't want my arms.
They look real good. Yeah. And she take them off, put them back on, and does like fashion stuff. They got lights in them. Batteries and shit.
See, that's pretty cool.
So if you're gonna have fake arms, fucking decorate them.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, you do like fucking what's his
name?
Yeah,
I don't want them to look realistic.
Yeah.
That's boring.
Like old Clytus from fucking Flash Gordon, the fucking gold fucking plated mechanical arm and shit.
Yeah.
Sport that shit.
But yeah, so it was, yeah, I don't know if she has different ones nowadays, but like I said, when she was testifying at this fucker's trial, you know, she just had the hook hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she testified, and that probably went a long way toward getting him put on death row.
Death fucking row. Yeah.
However, he died
yeah.
in 2001, actually, of cancer. Hope it was ass cancer, and I hope it was painful.
Damn.
You know, because Jesus fucking Christ. So, yeah. I mean...
I guarantee you that was a serial killer, and
it had to have been. Nobody just decides to do that one day.
And it usually doesn't start at that level, usually.
No. I mean, because I don't think, like, he necessarily planned or anything like that, but it's like he seemed... It seemed like he was kind of calm, and he had like a plan for what to, like, you know, how I'm gonna get rid of the body, and you know, and the fact that he was just so callous toward her like that, it's like he must have done that before.
Yeah, that was something he started in his teens.
And then, like I said, the fact that he was in prison for, you know, 8.5 years, then he gets out, then a couple years later he does it again. Yeah, I'm sure that there's other victims out there of that guy. And
how old was he when he got out?
I don't know.
She said old man, right?
No, she said that he reminded him of her.
The witness said he saw an old man stabbing the woman.
No, a naked man. I said a naked man.
Okay, I was thinking, for some reason I thought of a fucking naked old man. I wonder how old he was then.
Well, that's on you, isn't it? Yeah. Why are you thinking about naked old men?
It's just what I imagined. Because I imagine him being in his 40s or 50s when he got locked up anyway, so I thought there might have been
like I said, I'm not entirely sure because, you know, she said, oh, he reminded me of my grandpa, but like I said, she was only 15, so it's like he might not have been that old. Right. Like, she might have just perceived him
as he was only locked up for about 8 years.
Yeah.
So, he wasn't that much older, really.
Yeah, he might have just, like, been in his 50s or something. Like, 50s or 60s, maybe. But still, it's like... I don't know. Now I'm kind of, like, curious to see if... Larry and Creature said, is there any of him admitting to further crimes in prison? I don't think that he did. Not that I know of, anyway. I'd have to, like, look it up. But Lawrence Singleton was his name. They know that he did that, you know, Roxanne Hayes. They know that he killed her. Because they caught him red-handed, essentially. And, you know, they know that he attempted to kill Mary Vincent. But other than that, I don't know if there's, like, other ones. But I kind of feel like there's probably are.
Oh, no doubt.
Because, like you said, that MO is just very serial killer-y. Yeah. Mr. 88 said he was born in 1927. So he was just shy of 50 in 1978. Okay. Yeah, so he was in his 40s. Late 40s, yeah. Yeah. So he's still doing that shit when he's out there. Like an old man. Yeah. Like out there picking up prostitutes and killing them.
He was a serial killer.
Yeah, he had to have been.
Yeah.
That was like I said, nobody does just jumps right to that. That's fucking crazy.
There was a bunch of them out there they don't know about. Probably other guys got blamed for them. Other serial killers probably got blamed for a lot of it. Who knows? Or they just bodies weren't found. Depending on where he was living at the time. Might have been a place where you could get rid of bodies.
I mean, I kind of feel like, well, you know, because I wrote about, you know, like the Texas killing fields and like all that kind of stuff, which they know was at least 3 different serial killers and probably more. And a lot of them, they just don't know who they are. Yeah. It's just all these bodies were just dumped in the same place. And it's like they might still be bodies out there that they don't know.
They don't know who the girls are? Or they don't know
They don't know who the killers are. They don't know who some of the girls are either. Yeah. Like some of the victims are not identified. They've identified most of them at this point, but they found so many, what was it, like 30, 40 bodies out there? Like in this one kind of like several acre area, you know, part of Texas. And... they know for a fact, because they caught some of the dudes later on, they know for a fact that it was at least 3. But then some of the victims, the DNA, like, from those 3 doesn't match. So it's like there's more than 3.
Now, those 3 serial killers, did they know each other?
I don't know.
That was never addressed?
I don't know. Well, not that I remember.
Okay, so it's not like they were working together.
I don't think so. Okay. Well, the thing about it is, like, a lot of them were, like, truckers. You know what I mean? Because I kind of feel like, particularly back in the 60s and 70s, there was a lot of serial killers who were like truckers. Or had jobs like that, where they were like traveling from place to place. And they would just like stop and pick up, hitchhikers or runaways
livers.
or whatever, you know, like a teenage girl would run away from home and would be hitchhiking, and they would pick them up and kill them and then just dump them on the side of the road, and then they would just like be on to the next city and no one would suspect anything. So I kind of feel like there was a lot of that going on in the 60s and 70s, and probably, I mean, they've caught some of them, but I bet there's a lot of them that they didn't catch too. And I bet there's like a bunch of bodies out there that they've never found yet either.
Who just dreams this shit up? You're a trucker, you know what I mean? Like, you know what? I'm gonna kill this bitch. I mean, who thinks like that?
They do.
I don't think like that.
Well, thank God.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying?
It doesn't even cross your mind. I mean, what would make them even wonder what makes them even start thinking like that? They must have been thinking like that before they became truckers. It must have been something that when they were kids. It has to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like I'm a trucker, I'm driving around, and then you slowly like morph into, let's start killing these lot lizards.
No, I think what it is, because I remember I was looking up something before, and they were talking about like the professions that are more highly represented among serial killers.
Yeah,
it's usually like truckers, forestry workers, cops, security guards, that type of stuff. And I don't think it's necessarily, the people in that job like turn into serial killers. It's just that people that have serial killer tendencies
end up in those jobs
because that's. And I kind of feel like people that are serial killers, they really, really want to be truckers because it seems like you get to work on your own for a lot of the time, and it's like you're out on the highways, and it's like nobody's watching you, and
nobody really knows where you are,
and nobody really knows where you are at any given time, and it's like you're probably coming
through jurisdictions,
right?
And
so I kind of feel like that's like the ideal thing for like somebody that wants to do that, because like I said, they can just pick up somebody like that's hitchhiking or something and kill them and dump them in the next state, and no one will even find them or even know who they are.
You're committing a crime. You pick up a girl in one jurisdiction, commit the crime on the way, and then drop her off in another jurisdiction. You don't live in any of the three jurisdictions you went through. So you're just not a suspect if they don't see you.
So before DNA, there would be no way to link you.
To anything.
And the thing about it is that they can only link you if they know, like once they found the DNA, they can only link your DNA if you've already been arrested for something else, and like your DNA is already on file. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The only chink in your armor would be they have to get the DNA. They have to have your DNA, one, or at least some of your relatives' DNA, which that shit's happening. Then they have to get whatever DNA you left on that body, which means that they need that body.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the only way you could be caught, is if they get that body and there's DNA on it. And I'd imagine that's pretty rare for something like that happening. I imagine most of the bodies, there's no DNA on them.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing about it, particularly in the cases of like Texas killing fields and stuff like that, is that sometimes those victims weren't found until much, much later. So they were generally just like skeletons.
Skeletons, yeah.
So, you're not
going to get his
you're not going to
DNA
get
off
much DNA
off her skeleton.
That. I mean, sometimes you can get it off the clothes and everything like that. Like they've gotten a lot better with it, and I think they did actually like solve a couple of those cases. Yeah. But the thing about it is, like, they're doing, ever since fucking D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer, got caught, they've been doing a lot of cold case DNA shit, because a lot of cases that I wrote about, like in my book, like I'll go back to, see if there was updates, and a lot of those have been solved. Like, even if they haven't been solved, at least they've identified, like, a lot of the victims that were unidentified for, like, 30, 40 years. They actually are going back and trying to solve all of these cases, which I thought was like actually really cool that they have people doing that.
I'm trying to put myself in old boy's shoes. Here you are, you're a truck driver or something like that. You got a normal job, and you got a string of 7 or 8 crimes behind you, these bodies out there, all right, that you've fucking stashed, and you're thinking about, man, if they find one of those bodies and there's DNA on it, they're gonna they might be able to find me. How do you fucking sleep at night? That's what I'm thinking.
I know, it's like, to me, it just seems like...
I'd be worried the whole fucking time that, man, no matter what, you know what I mean? I'd be worried, I'd be looking over my shoulder thinking, man, I might be in bed here, and fucking boom, then all of a sudden they're in my house.
They're gonna bust in your house.
Yeah, and then they're like, we got you for the murder, this and that. Oh, shit. Yeah, so you would think that you couldn't live a normal life, you constantly be worried, but maybe there's just so much overconfidence in them. Oh, they'll never catch me. That kind of thing.
I kind of feel like that might be the case, like with some of them, because they do seem like. Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on the type. Because look at somebody like BTK, who he obviously thought he was smarter. He's the smartest motherfucker
He thought
ever.
the cops were required to tell the truth because they're the good guys.
Which,
I was laughing, man.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious. That he actually thought that's how he got caught.
Now, be honest. If I send you the disc, you won't be able to track me, will you?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No, we won't be able to track you.
Absolutely
Okay, all right, thank you. He thought the cops were his friends, and that they had to tell him the truth.
He's an idiot. He's what. And that's the worst.
They were working together.
That's the worst kind of idiot. Is the idiot that thinks they're smart.
Yeah. He thought he was working together with the cops. That was something else, man.
That's Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of times, I don't know. It seems like they don't worry about it.
I guess
maybe
not.
maybe they're sociopaths and they just don't care.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe, like you said, they're just so overconfident. It's like, they won't catch me. They just they don't worry about it.
They're stupid. They'll never catch me.
Yeah, they're stupid.
Yeah.
Which is funny because
they'll never find those bodies. I got them hidden too good. They'll never find them. Yeah, or maybe all of them. You know, all of them are all options. Depends on whatever the guy is. You know?
Yeah.
Some of them think that they'll never catch. Other guys will be like, I don't care if they do catch me. You know, it's just,
I think it's like a combination of those. Lion X Warrior said, "Come on, 13 o'clock family, crew, and subscribers. 31 in the chat, only 19 likes. Hit that like button, folks.
Yeah.
Get the algorithm jumping. Yeah, you probably should because."
And of course, super chats are active, bro.
Super chats
are active. And if you're listening to the show recorded, you could leave Jenny a super thanks. This is a new feature, and even super thanks are active on all the old videos too.
Yeah.
So even though you're not listening to an old video, see, you're not getting this message.
Ooh.
I went meta there, bro.
You did for a second.
I was traveling through space time,
talking
to the past in the future.
Ooh. Yeah. Jason S says Henry Lucas only killed his mom, I think, but confessed to over 300 murders. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Henry Lee Lucas only killed maybe 2 people, maybe 3.
Albert Fish is a little suspect too. And he did kill a bunch of people and ate that little girl. That shit he did do. He put all that weird shit into his body, those needles and everything.
Yeah, he put all those needles in his taint.
But he also confessed to crimes that
there's no proof ever happened.
Yeah,
a lot of them do.
They didn't have a body or a case to match with that. Thank you very much. Like he said, he killed that little black boy by beating him to death, and he says because no one would ever miss him, type of deal. I don't believe that's true. If they found a fucking little dead black boy there, they would have recorded it and said, we found a little dead black boy over here. Who did this? That's what, the cops would record that. So there was no little body found. So I think he made a lot. I think Albert Fish was into making himself suffer as much as possible because he liked to make himself suffer. Putting needles in himself and trying to be as
super freak.
He thought he was Jesus and the devil simultaneously, and he wanted himself to be as repulsive and as evil as possible in the eyes of other people. So he made up crimes to make himself sound even worse. But he did eat that little girl. Although he said, I didn't fuck her, though. She died a virgin. Oh, thank you, bro.
Yeah.
She cried and cried when I told her I was going to
Way to clear that way low bar.
Yeah.
Of being
she cried and cried. Man.
Yeah, that guy.
I'd have to beat that dude to death, man. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'd take that over.
I think probably most people would do the same thing.
And
most people would help you. It's like, here, hand me a hammer.
My greatest fear is that it would fucking go down too quickly. He was kind of frail looking. I don't want to stretch that shit out, man. I might want to do that Mongolian fucking death coffin fucking treatment.
I mean, if anybody deserves it.
The thing is, though, is that dude was such a masochist. He'd
probably
enjoy it.
Yeah, he'd probably
enjoy anything you did to him because he would just soak up pain.
Yeah, so you couldn't win.
You
can't win.
Yeah.
Thank you, Victor, for the super chat. Post the show schedule for all the shows on social media so I can get back on track. Okay, if I remember, I will do that. Mostly we're just down to 4 live streams a week. We do a movie review on Sunday at 6. And then we do a Haunting Mondays on Monday, obviously, at 7:30. Then we do the main show on Wednesday at 7:30, and then we do Sidetracks Friday night at 7:30. And then I've been trying to do a video a week, but, you know, like, I'm trying to do one book review, one movie review. Like, I'm trying to do something for Scare Salon. I'm trying to do something for Crime and Memorial. It's, you know, I'm working full-time now, so it's, like, really, really hard for me to get shit done. But I am trying to keep up on the stuff. But we have been doing all the live streams, though. Celtic Angel 73 said another movie suggestion, Don't Go to Sleep, is a very good made-for-TV movie from the early 1980s with Dennis Weaver, Valerie Harper, and Ruth Gordon. There are a couple uploads of it on YouTube. You know, I don't think that I've ever heard of that, but man, that's a good cast. I'm going to have to, like, check that out. Okay, so thanks for that recommendation. Victor said, okay, I wrote it down. Larry and Creature said, what books have you written, Jenny? I'm a noob here. I've written, like, a bunch of fiction and a bunch of nonfiction. Like, I did a true crime trilogy called The Faceless Villain, Volume 1, 2, and 3. And those are... What?
We'll do commercials before we shut down, and we'll do the commercials for the books. You have those, don't you?
Well, I already did those.
You did the commercials? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So don't worry about it.
Don't worry about them.
But yeah. So anyway, so it's like that's all unsolved murders from the 20th century. Like the first one is like 50 years, and then it's like 20 years and 20 years. And then I did like a bunch of paranormal ones. Yeah. Like I did one called The Unseen Hand that's all poltergeist cases.
Steve Mera books.
And then I did one, a couple with Steve Mera.
Yeah.
The Rochdale poltergeist, we talked about that case that he was on. And the one with...
Fire and Whispers.
Yeah.
Keith Linder. Keith Linder, yeah.
Keith Linder. Because Steve Mera worked on that case. He's a parapsychologist. And I did a case with a book with him about that. We wrote a book about his case called Mammoth Mountain Poltergeist.
Yeah, I recommend it. Everybody it's got good reviews. Everybody loves it. It's true. It happened.
And I also have some fiction books. I wrote like 2 books of short stories, like horror stories. One's called The Associated Villainies, and the other one is called Hopeful Monsters. Then I wrote a couple of novels. One's called Red Menace. One is called The Five Poisons, and one is called Bellwether. And Tammy said, don't forget the cookbook. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We also have a cookbook. That's actually, all the other books are, the ones I just mentioned, are on Amazon. The cookbook, I think, is only on Lulu. They might have it on Amazon.
It's a beautiful
now, but I'm
full-color
not
cookbook,
sure.
too. A lot of people bought it.
Yeah, we did a cookbook. Well, because we kept like getting sidetracked and talking about food, so everybody said, "Oh, you guys should write a cookbook."
Yeah.
So we did.
It's got Southern classics. It's got Mexican food, how to make Mexican food from scratch. What else has it got? Italian. It's got
bunch of American food. American food is like the main because there's like a lot of Southern food in there.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of Brazilian food.
Yeah, some Brazilian food. Got that in there. Some of my favorite Brazilian
Indian
recipes.
Food.
Indian.
Some Thai.
Yeah.
And Chinese.
Yep. All the Chinese fast foods got some recipes of that in there.
Because Tom cooks all the things.
Yeah, I cook all that.
He cooks all the things. Does it have grits? Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Right, it's got grits.
Yeah, we did a little section in there.
Got a whole grits
There's
section.
a little section in there that says, what the fuck are grits?
Yeah, and I dictated most of the book to Jenny, and if you read the shit, it sounds like me talking. Fuck, everybody
Well, because it is you talking.
It is me talking. Yeah,
well, I mean, essentially. Yeah. Like, I kind of made it into, like, sort of proper sentences and stuff, but that's how we wrote the book, is that we just had... I was just like, here's the recipe. Like, talk about... you know, Nana pudding.
Yeah.
And so, like, he would just talk about it, and I recorded him talking, and then, like, I, transcribed it.
Yeah.
And, like, put it into,
Came out good.
It
was fun to do. I was drinking.
That's how
and I was dictating out what to do. It was kind of like, I felt like I was talking to hundreds of people.
Yeah.
It felt good. It's just me and Jen recording in
we were just recording.
And I'm sitting there drinking. I'm talking to all you bitches. The next thing you know, you never, ever, ever let a banana pudding turn brown. Just shit like that. Just anything. It was just whatever was off the top of my head at the time. And yeah, I am a trained cook. I was trained by some fucking absolutely fantastic chefs on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. That's really where I learned a lot of the shit. Real cooking, making sauces. I used to make. I was one of the jobs I had in there was to make salad dressing. And make ketchup. make fucking barbecue sauce. That chef would not buy anything. Everything had to be exclusive to that restaurant. It was fucking fantastic.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, making blue cheese dressing. Making fucking green goddess. Making fucking special kind of blended vinaigrettes. What was that fucking vinaigrette? You had to fucking blend the fucking vinegar and oil together. I forgot what it was called. And it would come out yellow, and it would not. The oil and vinegar would not separate. It would hold together in suspension forever. It's beautiful. Making remoulade is another one that we used to do. And then making all the desserts. I also did line cook stuff, deep frying seafood, ran grill, salads. I was in all the positions. I started off in a dish pit washing dishes as a kid in high school. Grampers remembers it. He remembers where I used to work in high school when I was over in Michigan at that time. That's why I started washing dishes. And then I ended up in the kitchen. Well, the dish pit's in the kitchen, but, as a cook.
Victor said, if y'all have a book on hand, I'll literally buy it right now if you autograph it and send it to me.
Do we have one in here?
I have one, but I don't know where it went. It's in here somewhere.
We can get another copy, I think.
Yeah, we can get another copy because I've had that one for a while. That's like an old one.
This one?
No, that's not it. It's probably back there, like on the desk there, behind Tom Savini, or under BTK.
Under BTK.
Under BTK, like there's some books that he's right there in front of your face, isn't he?
Oh yeah, BTK. Yeah.
Yeah. See. Okay. Don't make me think I'm crazy.
I don't see it.
Larry and Creature said, I love Savini. Yeah, that's got Tom Savini back there. He kind of looks like my dad. My dad kind of looked like that when he was younger. I swear to God it was back there. Victor said, how much? How much were we charging for that? How much I have to check and see how much they are on Lulu because I don't remember.
I thought they were about 30, weren't they? 25?
Something like that. Because it's a hardback.
Yeah, it's a hardback?
Yeah.
Let me go hold on. Just keep me occupied and get my light. I can't really see it.
I'm sure it's back there. I'm pretty sure. Because there's just like books right under where BTK is. He's sitting on top of like some books, and I'm pretty sure. Because I think that, because I designed the cookbook for the vegan black metal chef also. He has a cookbook called the Satanic Spellbook, but Satan, like that meat substitute. It's spelled like that. So yeah, I designed his cookbook, and I have a copy of that over there too. Mango said, I met Savini, great guy. Yeah, see, I told you it was over there. Oh, thank you, Victor. He sent us $50 for the cookbook.
You'll love it. I'll show it to him.
There we go, see?
It's hardcover.
Yeah, it's hardback. And look, the kitties are there, Beijing and Pookie on the front, helping us out with
fully
the cooking.
Illustrated.
Yeah, we got all kind of, what do we got? Refried beans. I can't really see, so you gotta do it. Yeah, see? It's fun. And we wanted to make it like, even if you didn't make anything that was in there, we still wanted to make it like fun to read, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's all it's not in metric, it's in the American system.
Well, I think I put conversions.
Okay.
For most things. Okay. Yeah, he said I DM'd you my address on Facebook. Okay. I mean, this is just the copy. I've had this for a while, but
yeah, it's mint condition.
It's in good condition. I haven't taken it.
We'll just get another one to replace
it. So we'll just sign it.
Matter of fact, this was the sample copy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So this is actually the first one ever made.
Yeah, I think this is the one that I actually like ordered for the thing.
Yep.
Like to proof it.
Yep.
But yeah, so we can sign it and I can get it mailed out to you in a couple of days. Yeah. So yeah. Larry and Creature said, some of my favorite horrors are Savini stuff. Martin, oh, that's a great movie. I love that movie. Maniac and Deranged. Yeah, Deranged, we did that's the one that's kind of based on Ed Gein, right? We just reviewed that one not too long ago. That was an excellent movie from the 1970s. That was, I think, one of the first ones that he worked on. Victor says, "Yay! Did you do the photography as well?" I did not. I bought the photos because we don't really have the photo. I don't really have like a good enough camera to like take really nice photos.
And the thing is that
and the lighting in here is kind of shit.
You do not want to photograph food unless you're a fucking professional.
Right.
The photographs of the food that's not food.
Because we we thought about it, but I was like, I don't think they're gonna come out that good.
No.
So I'm just gonna buy some.
No. If they show a photograph of ice cream or a photograph of sour cream, no, that's Crisco. You know what I mean? Some of the soups. That's not soup. Some of that's paint. You know, it's not food that they're taking pictures of. Fucking food does not photograph well. That's a whole art.
It really doesn't.
It's a whole art to that. You want to leave that up to the professionals. So you can just, if you have a professional service that fucking is offering products like photographs of food, you can find any recipe there. They got a photograph of anything that looks like that. And you go, yeah, okay, that'll work.
Yeah, I found pretty much everything.
Right.
Because I pay a lot of money for like that stock photo subscription.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but the recipes they're either very traditional recipes, if it's a Southern traditional, or some of it's family recipe.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But yeah, it's super fun. So yeah, I will get that because I have all the stuff here to like I can mail it from the house.
Yeah, we can weigh things and mail things. We got mail. So this is a business. It's an office. So.
Yeah, I sent out, and if Amanda is here, I sent out your shirt this morning. Like they came and picked it up.
Yeah, I fucked up. I brought it back in. I thought it was a delivery.
I know. I came home from work yesterday morning, and like the package was like sitting on my chair. I'm like, I told you. I was like, I left this.
This was going out. I said, oh, I thought.
I said, I specifically told you. I showed it to him, and I said, I'm putting this out by the front door. Don't fuck with it, because it's going out.
I don't listen to these women. I'm a man.
And then I come home from work and it's sitting in my chair. I was like...
They were putting a new roof on the house, and I fucking had to go around and clear everything out because had all this equipment. And they were throwing shingles and shit. So I was in a panic, and I just pulled it in. I thought that was mail coming in.
Because, I mean, we did have other packages that came in, like some of like Pookie's treats and stuff.
Yeah.
Pookie! Don't eat the furniture.
Yeah, she chews everything.
She's eating the furniture. All right. So I wish I could...
She looked at me like, "What's wrong?" Okay,
she gave him a look like, "What?"
I'm gonna bring Pookie. Oh, she ran.
She's like, "No." She just went. She just ran right there.
Oh, I was gonna put Pookie. Come here, Pookie. Come here.
Come here, Poke.
She's like,
"No." You want to be? No, I don't want to be on a show.
Come on camera.
Come on, little furniture eater.
She's shaking her head. No.
No, no.
She shakes her head. No.
She's like, "No, no, no."
Yeah.
She's like, "No, no." Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. She's uncomfortable up here. She's like, I don't like being on camera.
Poor Pookie. She was like so scared because when the roofers came, because they were making so much noise.
Yeah.
Like Tom was messaging me and I was at work and it's like Pookie's hiding under the bed, like freaking out.
I don't need the bed for 2 days.
She's like, oh my god. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess we've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it's almost 10, and I have to get up very early to
and I got to pick Sofa up from the airport tomorrow.
That's right.
And we will not have a Friday show probably.
We're gonna do it on Saturday.
We'll
do it on Saturday. That's
when she comes home from work, she's immediately got to get ready for the club, and we're all going to the club.
Yeah.
Sophie's been on the show before. She wants to do a show with us on Saturday. We're gonna do a sidetrack on Saturday with Soph. Don't be DMing her and messaging her and flirting with her like last time. Last time y'all sending her money and shit.
Well, I don't know if it was y'all specifically, but
she's pretty, okay? And y'all scared her off. She didn't want to come back on anymore. She's very shy. But no, she's gonna have fun. She's not as shy as she was. She's 30 now, so she's not a kid like she was.
But yeah, she'll be here tomorrow night. So so sidetrack show. We'll do the sidetrack show on Saturday. Because, like I said, we're going to Mannequins Friday night, and it's like I got to work all day, so I don't get home till 6, and I have to come home and get ready, and then we're going to go out. So we'll do a sidetracks on Saturday. Maybe we'll do it earlier. We'll do it, like, at 6. Maybe. So then that way, I don't know. We'll think about it. But I'll announce it, like, beforehand anyway. Mango said we was all well-behaved.
Yeah. Yeah, Mango remembers her.
Yeah.
Tammy's saying, yay, Soph.
Yeah, she's fun. I'm glad we're gonna. I'm glad she's coming.
This is the third time she's visited. She's missed us, and she hasn't seen the new house yet.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's snowing in Michigan, so she lost power. She was charging up her phone to fucking send me text messages because she was packing when they lost power, and she couldn't charge her phone. She had to go to the car and charge her phone.
Which is crazy
But
because
power's back on.
Because in Florida today, it was 85
Yeah.
fucking degrees.
Yeah. She's fucking sending me pictures way outside her window, and it's fucking ice and fucking sleet and shit coming down.
That's
This
crazy.
is, I remember Michigan.
I went out to like eat
Yeah.
some lunch in my car, like in the parking lot. I'm like, oh my god, I'm sweating my
Yeah.
balls off out here. It's 85 fucking degrees, and it's February.
Yeah.
Fucking Florida. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So we will see you guys again. Victor, I will get your book sent out in a day or two. So be on the lookout for that. And we'll see you guys again on Saturday. I'll announce what time it is. We'll probably do it like a little bit earlier because we're going to go out afterward. So hopefully Sophie will do the show with us, and that'll be super fun. So thanks everybody for dropping by. Thanks for your super chats. And we will see you guys again this weekend. Good night.